That is us. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Arcade Grand Finals. I am joined today by my two excellent co-casters, Mr. Zach and Spectral.
Thank you very much for the introduction. So I'm actually joining today as guest commentator. This is my first time joining the casting desk for the arcade, so I'm super excited. Ray hit me up in the DMs and was like, "Yo, we'd love to work with you." So people who don't know me, my name is Zach, and I'm on the main sort of casting desk for DVD League. I've done a couple of other events, but I'm joining us here today for the grand finals. Really excited, and yeah, just in this pre-game show, we're going to be talking through the sets, but I'm going to use this opportunity to introduce another co-caster, Spectral, who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, but
I'm not gonna lie, man. It is kind of nice to sit alongside someone who I would say maybe would have been a coworker one day. But huge to be next to you, Zach. I do know you are a part of a very prestigious organization, DBDL. You know, very big thing. But here right now, we're sitting at the desk of the arcade, and today it seems like we're gonna be seeing a Team Momo versus Team Pedro, a huge best of 7 for I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Probably who's gonna take all the kudos here? Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at the rosters right now, and there are some very interesting like roster additions that I have not seen and did not expect to make it this far. But it's incredible to see how these players were able to coordinate so much to get to where they are at this very current moment. Let's go ahead and actually take a look at what we have in store here for, of course, all of the viewers and all the ladies and gentlemen that are watching at home. Set 1 being Sanctum of Wrath Plague. Interesting to see. And Alexis, your thoughts on these sets that we're looking at?
We saw two Plague sets, one during the quarterfinals and one during the semis, and I was very interested to see that people approach this set with different tactics. Some of them try to split them up and kind of force the Plague to make decisions, force you to pick up power, and then that leads into a more chaotic game that should throw the Pug out of their mind and out of their game and eventually lead to higher stages. But we've seen these teams kind of keep it together and get good results, like get out and sometimes even manage to 5 or 6 states the killer. And we also have seen iPick on Killer, if I'm not mistaken, that had an incredible 3-gen setup and decided to play on that, but then managed to capitalize when the teams were throwing a couple bones at him, making a couple mistakes here and there, and eventually he got 11 stages, which was the greatest result we've seen this tournament. So I'm interested to see. iPick is one of the killers for Team Momo, to see how it's gonna go and how the results are going to be, but I would say it's probably going to be a very close set, judging by how the two teams performed in the previous setups. I don't know, what's your thoughts on this one, Zach?
yeah, Plague on Sanctum of Wrath. It's not a set I'm familiar with, I'll be honest. When I think about, I guess, what Plague can do is she's very good at spreading pressure with her power. And with, I think this variant, you do have that main center, like in the center of the map. So you have a bit of a chokehold, gives a lot of visibility. And you do typically see like a lot of 3-4 gens on either side of the map. So for the survivors, I'm sure the priority is going to be splitting the map and trying to break that to stop the Plague from getting a hold on the game so early on. So I think the first couple of chases are going to be really important for the survivor side, if you'll agree with me. But yeah, I don't really know. That's kind of how I thought. That was my sort of vision for this set. What do you think, Spectral? Do you think I'm sort of on the same lines?
Well, somewhat, because I'm not gonna lie, we're talking about iPick here. This guy used to be teammates with someone who is an expert at this type of killer, and especially at keeping a perfect amount of pressure. They even had an entire map layout named after them, which was insane to me. How someone could basically own the RNG of the game. But on this map specifically, Sanctum of Wrath, I feel like there's also a lot of potential because we're talking about the first one, keep in mind. You know, the one where having that type of pressure on an entire side of the map, because remember, it's an entire bottleneck, except the bottleneck is a huge monument at this point, which can probably be utilized very well by both sides. I would say as well. it's only something we can really leave to kind of actually seeing it in person. We can't make too many guesses here because right now we're seeing kind of like a different matchup, a matchup that hasn't necessarily been shown to us, at least at full power. Because right now, you know, everybody has to go all out. Everybody has to basically not give anyone any leeway. If a mistake is made, it has to be maximized on top of to try and see if they can punish something like that. Especially since iPick is not going to be able to. I mean, look at the roster we're looking at right now. Just as players are loading in, the roster that we're looking at is definitely nothing to be taken lightly. So carefully, I would say a lot of strategy is definitely going to have to go into it. Not only is it a strategic killer, nothing here right now can actually be like, I'd say this is almost the difference between powers, as in like simply picking up the power like 5 seconds too early might be a big decider here. I'd say that's also too, what would you call it? Although too early to say so, but you never know. These types of games do really get you on the edge of your chair, trying to wonder exactly what is happening next. But Ane, what do you think would actually be kind of like the outcome? I want you to kind of like give us your opinion on what the result could be as an average, let's say for both sides.
I'd say from having seen the games and how they play out, it is often this snowball heavy outcome that favors the killer. So, and I've seen iPick play more for it, that the moment he spots a mistake, he tries to snowball it into accumulating enough pressure to make the survivors make more mistakes. I would say the result on average should be like 8 to 9 stages, but this could easily like go on the extremes, like one of them getting 5 to 6 stages and then the other one getting like 10 or 11. But I don't know, it's like from having this discussion, what would you say would be like a nice average?
Yeah, I don't know, but the lobby that I'm looking at right now is very stacked, so it could go either way. I don't want to get into too like much micro, but when it comes to this map and the application of power, it can be difficult in some situations for the player to get power. So I genuinely think that the result will be determined by, I would say, the first 3-4 minutes of the match. If the player can get an early setup going and get that pressure down on the map, then it's going to, like you said, the snowball effect, right? So based on that, we will probably see a higher number of stages. But if the player can't get the game off, get the game going, then it could be pretty devastating, I think, for iPick. But yeah, we're just loading in now. The player's all readied up. And I guess we'll see, Annie. I was super excited. But this is kicking off grand finals for the Arkade Captains Tournament. Is this season 2? Am I right in thinking it's season 2 or is it season 3?
It's actually season 3. But yeah, with that in mind, we'll be rolling into the action. And we have iPick on killer for Team Momo against the survivors of Team Pedro, being Doc, Zafis, Moondogs, and Pedro himself. And we are starting off with a very interesting split. This is a more typical 3-1-3 classic, and the powers are split on either side of the map. So we spot Pedro here and initializing the test. So I would say this will probably be closer to the original predictions of the 8 stages, as there aren't like there isn't a very strong setup for the killer. But let's see how this one rolls off, as we start at says with MX here on this paladin.
Yeah, actually opting to take power here. Did leave that pallet gem, so running mid-map. So this actually might lead to a health state relatively early. We'll see if he can make any sort of distance. But only has a tree to work with. So yeah, that's going to be a really early hit onto MX. We have an infection onto Pedro, so that's going to be the pallet gem that we saw originally. So already have some form of information early on, and that is it down at 5 gens. Only 1 infection on the board. Is that a flashlight? I didn't even see where that came through, actually. Where was that flashlight? I have no idea. Either way, that's huge for the survivors, getting such an early save. The nice positioning there, of course. And actually missing power, so MX is going to make that pallet. And power is about 25 left and opting to die on the pallet. So we'll see. iPick's going to look around. Maybe suspecting a survivor is here. But already a chaotic start to the set.
Yeah, and I have to say this is very smart from the survivors, like opting to die under the pallet, making the plague a bit more paranoid. Someone around for someone hovering for the save, and there is actually someone here. So this will be 0 stages for Ipic so far, and I would expect a couple of gens to pop on the other side of the map as we are speaking. And remember, because this chase has taken quite a bit of time, the infections have run out. So the survivors instead opted to double the mains, and rather than go for a split on the opposite side, they decided to double the mains, and which, if popped, would mean that there are 2 3-gens on either side. Never mind, this wasn't doubled actually, I'm mistaken. This was doubled by one of the survivors that was hovering for the pallet save, and with that in mind, there is no power on this side of the map, and whilst this was corrupt and there is no progress either, MX is kinda zoned. I would say that this is a very good position for Team Pedro, as we are looking at very low stages. MX has no pallets left right now, so he will go down. Nice little loop here. He doesn't reach the pallet, unfortunately, so with that in mind, we'll be having... Well, I am going to eat my own words here, as we will be having another flashlight save from Zafis, and I don't know, Zach, this is looking very good for the Survivor team.
Yeah, I think they've made the decision to sort of shadow chase a little bit, not letting Ipic get any sort of progress or pressure. Still only has 1 infection, and looks like that gen has been touched by Pedro here in the corner, but very, very strong start for the survivors. Honestly, I feel like that flashlight save at the start is essentially snowballed for them. I mean, Pedro's going to go downhill on this pallet, playing the 50s, so we will see a first hook stage coming through. But that is 3 gens done for one hook stage, unless Zafis is here for another flashlight save. No, not this time. Looking to maybe get a pain resonance on the board, and that will be so. Ipic is going to need a lot of pressure from this point onwards. He's gonna need to play the perfect game if he's gonna want to bring this back, I think.
Yeah, I think you have to play more than a perfect game. Like, he needs mistakes at this point to happen from the survivor side and utilize them to get the snowball going on his end. Right now, I'd say survivors have so much pressure that they could easily afford to let Pedro stew here for a moment while they're sitting up on either side of the map and preparing to pressure those ends. I think the win con for the survivors right now is make sure you can escort Pedro to the mid map, make sure he reaches main safely, and if he does so, you're in a very good spot to get like 5 stages at max. You find Zafis here on the edge, who has Sprint Burst, will be running towards the mid map, and again, this is the idea now, this will be the pace of the rest of the game. You will just be found on the side that has the 3 gens, and then you will be running to the other side, try to go as far away from them as possible. But this will be another pain res for Ipic, and I will say that he has 2 powers on the side of the map, which could easily cut survivors off guard, perhaps. Pedro is injured, so it would be wise to run to the side of the map and perhaps cleanse or set up for a save on Zafis. And yeah, with that in mind, I think the generator on our right, as we head towards the lower side of the map, is probably maybe 50 to 40% progress. And I'm interested to see like how the survivors will opt to play this one, such as to minimize the amount of stages they're going to give. Because right now there's no hook in the 3 gens, so I think they can probably give less than 6 stages before outing.
Yeah, potentially. I think for the survivors, they don't really want to be found on this side of the map. We had such a deep hook there in the middle of this region that I think looks like he wants to defend. You mentioned Pedro moving to the other side of the map, which is, I think, where they'll probably want to take their chases. To minimize stages, you want to really take chases in a place that Ipic is not interested in, and that will be that side, the top side of the map, with the 1 gen on its own in the corner of the map. So it's going to be a battle between Ipic getting quicker downs and not letting them get any real progress on this side of the map. If he can get a hold on this side, he can slow the game down dramatically, which I think he probably has realized based on his positioning right now.
Yeah, and it is not just slowing the game now, like you basically need to stop all progress, which Ooh, the survivors do pop the generator that wasn't on the Triton side, which makes me think that they didn't invest that many people into the top side of the map. Never mind, there is Doc here. He is infected, but he still has quite a bit of progress, I think, because he was walking around. So we do have this Paladin. I don't think Doc has light, no, so if you break this whilst forcing Doc towards the lower side, you will be able to cut him off, so he won't reach the top side of the map for free. Yeah, like this, so I think Doc doesn't reach anything in times. This will be a... Never mind, he doesn't make it to the jungle gym, so... Oh, and Sack on top of it. I don't know if you can afford to commit to this one, because at least 2 survivors have rotated to the other side of the map and are probably working with Zens. We do see Eruption come in, we do see someone sticking that Zen. But Doc is another fresh hook, so this will be another Pain Resonance, and the hook on the hill is a PR hook. But instead, I believe Ipic will opt to hook in this one, so he can pick up the power and go back to the top side of the map. With that, we have 3 hooks, all of them fresh hooks, which is good to have like a nice tiebreaker, but I'm not sure if this is enough, because the win con that you'll be setting up for your team will be kind of the lower side of the spectrum. I would expect 5 to 7 stages right now, because Blake does have power and non-survivors are injured, so this can snowball out of control, especially with Thana being in play. But they do manage to pop the last Zen, so... Well, we're going to head into this last phase of the game. I don't know, what are your thoughts, Zach?
I think whoever dies next is probably not leaving the trial, I would say. Pedro's already taken a stage, so that is worst case for Ipic. Ideally, he wants a fresh hook. I believe... I'm not actually sure. Is it Zaphis, I think, is the fresh. I believe MX, Pedro, and Doc have all been hooked, so... Pedro's going to be left on the floor in the corner, not near any gates. And the unhook does come through. And I think Ipic is searching for more. Because if he can get one of these other survivors down, I mean, particularly Zaphis, if the Renata gets found right now, that's going to be Ipic's best. Like, he's going to be able to squeeze as many stages out of this game as possible. He did see someone actually on this side of the map, and it is going to be Zaphis. So this is really, really good. Considering how the game's gone, this would be an ideal survivor to hook right now. Is going to opt to pick as expected, and you do have, yeah, so being hooked in Narnia, so not really the safest place to be. Oh, never mind, he's not the fresh. Okay, so Pedro still hasn't been picked up. That is the second stage onto Zaphis. Maybe they, I guess, opted for the gates. I'm not really sure where they are right now. Okay, so Pedro's been picked up. Zaphis is in the other side of the map, and Ipic's just going to be searching for someone.
I think MX is his last thresh, and probably the survivor that's stealthing while you have Doc pick up the slugged Pedro. Oh, someone gets the unhook, so this means that at least someone... Oh, Head does come out, but I think there was something giving away your position there, Doc. I'm not quite sure. But I think if you manage to get MX as well, because I think MX was on this side of the map. If I was Team Pedro here, I would have sent... Never mind, MX was on the other side of the map. He was actually cleansing and rescuing Zaphis, so that will be 6 stages if we hook Doc here and commit to killing him. So I'd say probably as many as we're gonna get. I don't think you can get to the door next to Sack in time and get someone down.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think this is as much as Ipic can hope for. If I was the survivors, I would leave right now. They are both here, actually. Did they look like they want to save? I don't actually know if they have any progress on that gate. But Ipic, crucially, doesn't have power. So, yeah, it looks like all 3 of them are in this area, looking to rescue their dear Doc friend. We'll just see how this plays out. Oh, he actually hits Doc on the hook instead, so no injury for Pedro. And Doc's gonna... Oh, yeah. He manages to get past him, so Doc's gonna be able to body block. This could actually be quite bad. I don't think there's enough progress on that gate. Is that almost open? I think someone's probably gonna die here.
Oh, can we get the down on
all the body blocks from Pedro? Pedro isn't fully infected, so they're all gonna get out. Oh, wow, that was a bit of a chaotic ending.
Chaotic, but still, they do manage to give 5 stages instead of 6, so you went from a quote-unquote average result to still on the lower end to a very good result for your killer, because now all you need to do is get one man out of the trial and perhaps guarantee that the save doesn't come through from the next. So yeah, very good performance by Team Pedro here. Especially the early game from Zaf is getting 3 flashlight saves, so or 2, and then the paranoia kicking in from Ipic. But
it was a pallet save and 2 flashlight saves, and that is just absolute nightmare. So
Yeah.
I'm really impressed to see the amount of stages that have come out of this. I think Ipic did really well to sort of salvage that, considering the weak early game that he had.
Yeah, so I don't know, the MVP of the semifinals is getting himself in a bit of trouble here, as he has managed to only get 5 stages, and with that in mind, we're going to take a small intermission to set up the next lobby, and we'll see you all in 3 minutes.
Welcome back, everyone. We are now seeing Pedro for Team Pedro, the captain himself, playing Plague for his team. And for Pedro himself, I don't believe this result is going to be too difficult to beat. I know him all too well. He is a very, very strong killer player, so have high hopes for him. And he is just as pretty standard, spreading his infections, looking around the map, trying to see if he could find a survivor lurking around. Has a sort of idea. Maybe someone is around here in this shack area. But we do have corrupt intervention in play, and we see forced hesitation, actually, a very interesting perk choice, and has rightfully so predicted someone is here. There's going to be Momo at shack area, though, so I'm not sure, but they're getting a nice mind game, actually. Going to be able to land an infection now. And the M1 as well. Really nice mind game there, actually. Good, strong start.
Well, it seems like right now, after infecting everything, he's actually even going to be caught, but it doesn't actually matter. He already has him injured here. He's going to be switching loops here, but I don't think he's actually going to be able to make this window, and that's going to be a very quick down, as Momo is unable to use his distance correctly. That big mind game there was definitely a huge tag. Not only did it get him almost completely infected, Pedro even found enough time to just grab the M1 at the window, which is not something you kind of expect of these players, but anything does happen. There's a lot of plays that do come into mind here, so just thinking of that one play that you wouldn't expect them to do definitely does mean a lot. I would say roughly 6 stages to beat. That's definitely also a huge step forward from last game, as we saw an incredible amount of coordination from Pedro's team, making sure that absolutely everyone is safe at almost any given time. The moment that MX was left alone, all the coordination plays were kind of not utilized as much as earlier, of course. So definitely a big step forward for Pedro. And of course, I mean, Zach, we're talking about a highly anticipated player here that has shown nothing but promise and very, very, very unique and powerful performances throughout their entire career in the DBD comp scene across multiple teams. So very excited to see, of course, what he has in store for us this game individually. We do see a gen here pop in the distance. Momo is still going to be in the basement as of yet, and we do have a power directly on top. So the moment somebody goes down, you just kind of get the power. Go ahead and kill everyone downstairs and even put Momo in danger, even though Momo is supposedly completely saved. Pedro's going to be staying down here, making sure that nobody's going to be hopping out of a locker last second to try and see if they can grab a sneaky save. But second stage is also going to come through, and we kind of are moving on towards the middle part of our game. Zach, we do know that right now the killer is on a steady sail, of course, to completely demolish this result. Do you think the survivors are going to be able to pull something off? And if you do think so, what would be necessary to do so?
Well, protecting Momo, I think, is going to be the big factor here, because Pedro secured second stage. So if this tunnel out comes through in any form of like quick time frame, no, he just
holy.
Oh, that's pretty. I mean, in terms of bringing it back, that is not one of the things that you want to be doing, especially when you've just given another basement hook. Oh, he's not actually opting it. Actually, this might be looking like it's a pain res, but that has not given Momo enough time to really make it anywhere. So if Pedro knows his timings, I don't think Momo is going to be safe here. If Momo dies here, I don't believe there's any real way to come back into this unless they get this godly late game chase.
Yeah, and right now they're actually going to be chasing HZ, who's going to be using kind of the gazebo to his advantage, using every single piece of debris, but unfortunately he's going to be losing an entirely massive amount of LOS here. Unfortunately, it's unable to make it over towards the pallet, but he does get a little bit of power out, and dude, devastating to see that it was at the very last second. They do, however, end up popping a gen just before the pain res, so someone is going to be saved, and there is going to be no power in the hands of the killer there. But it's kind of like the Oni, man. It's always seemingly you go down at the very last second of power. But quickly taking chase over towards iPick right now. He's going to be using a very safe rock filler to his advantage, and he's actually holding his check spots here. Remember, Plague is somewhat of a tall killer, so you are able to see most of them over, and they do end up short swinging here. iPick going to be completely greening, and it seems like that might actually be a little bit too much. They're going to be going for the second swing, and they do end up going down directly under the pallet. Is somebody going to be able to save here? The save comes through onto HZ, but no one is in sight to try and pick up iPick's small mistake, and that is going to be a 5-stage difference in this current moment, as iPick is now on second hook officially.
Yeah, 2 injured survivors on the board, the one infected and healthy. This is looking like a done deal, I think, for Pedro. I think he'd be very comfortable just seeing this result through, and the reset. Oh, actually, never mind. Sorry, I thought he was resetting. Is actually just cleansing. But yeah, I think they want to be cleansing to sort of combat this pressure. I suppose they've made that decision. But that comes through onto iPick, and unfortunately, Pedro HZ was caught lacking a little bit there in this corner. So gonna give a second stage over to the killer, and I believe that's the set one for Pedro.
Jesus, dude. I mean, even if the set is over, we're gonna have to see like what result they're exactly gonna try and aim for here.
Yeah, and you kind of from this point onwards, you do want to be trying to secure the best result. But in fairness, they've got 4 gens done, considering the chaos. So
oh Lord, and the Ada got hit with the notorious. What would you even call that? It's like the loop variation of the exact same loop, where just one wall is sticking just a little bit too much outward.
It's like a little fish hook, but I don't actually know if there's a name for it. But I've done that so many times myself. So.
Dude, Jesus, every single time. And just like that, we're chasing an injured survivor, which actually could be genuinely anyone at this point, but it does sound like it is going to be an ace, I believe. So we could be chasing iPick here in the corner with power. I have no clue. Gonna have to see exactly who it is, and it seems like it is going to be iPick with power in hand. He's probably gonna be looking for a snipe. Could have grabbed the stun there and instantly knocked him out of power, but iPick completely caught off guard by Pedro's instant read of just going straight to the pallet and getting that instant down. And that's the first set of the game, Zach. Good Lord.
First game of the death, and last gen completed though, so could potentially maybe be looking at outs. I mean, I feel like for your mindset, you need to get some survivors out, but as the location of 2 has Slashy here at Shack, but the pallet was dropped earlier, so yeah, rough game for the survivors. And
almost lost sight of him. Is this lucky break? It is. Wait, no. For some reason we lost.
I think it's a
scratch
scratch mark thing.
But yeah,
scratch marks have been a little bit broken, I think, the past patch or 2. Looks like I think they're actually fixing it.
Well,
but yeah, what are those scratch
we're
marks?
looking at seems like a 2K10. Jeez, incredible result for Pedro. Definitely a lot better than what iPick pulled off by a long shot, but I would say iPick did have a lot of things going for him that simply just didn't kind of work out for him. That super early down was an incredible play, but simply those saves that was pulled out by Pedro's team wasn't kind of mutual on this type of side. I mean, we just kind of saw it. It was very, very devastating on the side of iPick, I could say, definitely. So Momo's team is going to have to come back here. Remember, they do have an entire other 6 sets to work with here that they can, of course, use to their advances to try and take things back. But yep, like you said, 1-0 currently in the favor of Pedro. And we will see every single one of you, beautiful ladies and gentlemen, after our intermission and these hopefully short messages. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here now back in live at the one and only Arkade. I'm your caster, Sko, also known as Spectral. A huge matchup here today as we move on to the second set of Pedro versus Momo. Doctor on a Dead Dog Saloon on a huge set, as this seems like a very surgical network map type thing, to where the Doctor is definitely going to be a huge threat to basically every single resource. And I mean, as we're actually even seeing right now, Momo's team responding with a huge amount of coordination just to start off, you know, moving in and out of chase. What do you think the possible result could be here compared to the Plague performances, especially when we're considering Pedro?
Oh, I don't know, Pedro is a notorious Doctor Killer, but still this map does offer quite a lot of possibilities for teamwork, and you know, there is this main building that your power doesn't really work on. But Pedro does manage to make it work with enough patience, and Momo gets basically no distance out of this hit, so I think this is a good adjustment to what we've seen the previous weeks. Most people would just impatiently sock after sock after sock, and people would get these windows for free. But now Pedro does find the break to this loop, and it's like, yep, I'll just hold it a little until you reach the stairs, and after I sock you, I can follow you to the window, and
Yes, man.
you'll take the hit and get it down. So
That seems
yeah,
like
this
a
main
lot.
building that seemed impossible is like done and dusted.
Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of just saw it there. He locks him off from the window to grab an intense amount of distance before he's even able to vault it right after the tag, which not only wastes all of the distance that you get from the speed boost of the hit, it also wastes the distance between windows, which allowed him to not only shock him to keep him from the other window, he had enough distance to even down him before he reaches the downstairs one. That small little shock literally resulted in a 2-tap. Like, Jesus. But Momo is going to be the first hook, and it seems like right now we're going to be moving on towards HZ, who is also going to have another shot at main building, and not even that, we're completely cutting it off as HZ drops down and grabs Momo. Momo is going to be the tunnel out, of course, so we're probably going to be seeing a few mind games to completely catch him off guard. He is going to be, or have some support here before he reaches the window, tries to swing around, but it seems like HC is going to be in the way, and now we move on towards Shaq. More support is going to have to come in since this shock is going to come through and it is going to work. So if somebody is going to be able to help him there, and it seems like boom, iPick is going to do so, dropping Shaq pallet for him. Vagina is going to pop in the distance, and the chase is going to be moving on towards iPick, as iPick is going to be moving on over towards another rock filler. This is the very short one that you can use the longer side with nothing to try and support yourself, but it seems like no, the pallet drop is not going to come through. An intense amount of distance lost once more. Could be looking at a potentially 2-tap here. He's going to be looking for a bit of a mind game, maybe going to be going around the long side, but he does have the pallet to work with, and too much mind games as another 2-tap comes through, and iPick is going to hit the floor with no one able to support him here and get that pallet stun. Jesus, dude. You were not kidding earlier on, Pedro is the Dr. Killer.
And it's not just that, you also die next to the progress gen, you die next to the Gallows generator that has like 80% progress, so this is probably throwing the rest of your team off as well, because now you need to reset Pedro Z, you need to unhook iPick and get him out of the progress gen area, and at the same time, like what happens when you find Momo in a bad position, but it's not Momo, it's Lasser that we find, and without having a chase at the edge of the houses, I think it's a good loop against Doctor, because what you want is like interconnected loop, so you can like take the soak, then go to the next pallet, then take another soak, go to the next pallet, and then eventually have a teammate to come over and take either a hit, or in this scenario, just have someone unhook and draw the killer's attention to the other side of the map. I have to say that Pedro, besides being the Doctor Killer, he's also very good at kind of like spreading and reading the map correctly. So he knows like that these people that just unhook probably try to reset there, and that's not a very good spot to reset because sack pallet is gone. And even though there are a lot of pallets in the Gallows area, you did see earlier that he can get the downs easily with his mind games and his fluent movement. So now we're back onto iPick, who has Iron Will, I believe. He will be going down after this hit. And is someone here for a pallet save?
Keep in mind,
Nope, this is States number 2.
Pedro has a lot of years worth of game sense, especially in these types of situations. Many different plays have, of course, been presented to many different tournaments, many different players, many different sets, many different killers, but there is always one very general thing, and usually having that general game sense can mean a lot when it comes to these types of situations. I mean, right now we're kind of going to be seeing a static blast only grabbing, I believe, 2 people, or just 1, but it is going to be enough to completely get Momo off of the Gallows gen, which I would assume is going to pop here just for this chase, but Pedro's of course fine with that, and right now they're looking for the most amount of stages possible. Grabbing a tag here, especially with Iron Will, considering how Momo also does have a hook stage on them, tries to fake him out. Good mind game right there. That's going to be another tag. Boom, a Sloppy Butcher going to be coming through as well to, of course, slow down the game a lot, as all 4 people are going to be injured, and of course if they are interrupted, that is all that reset time lost and a bunch of time wasted. As he is going to be chasing on top of main there, they do make the upstairs window, and they're just going to be doubling back to see if they can maybe find a survivor that's going to be rotating in towards Gallows. That is not going to be the case, and instead we're going to be finding Slasher running into the killer, now going to be forced to use the Tino while they are going to be going over towards the L. They have enough distance to do so, but the shock is going to scare them completely and send them into the wrong direction. No medium vault coming through, and he is going to be able to make this window. Sorry, Pedro was going to be able to make the window. I feel like I should have probably said it that way. Oh my god.
Oops.
Was that a Keck fault?
Yep.
Yo, even the professional top players, man, still do the keck vault sometimes, man. It happens to the best of us. But an incredible start for Pedro, indeed, keeping the pressure on.
Yeah, I think mechanics are sometimes overshadowed by pure game sense, and I think this game is quite a bit of the opposite. Like, yeah, it's not like Pedro's game sense is off, it's actually very on point, but the mechanics are just so there for him. Like, his sock fakes, his movement is so fluent and clean that these downs just shouldn't be happening on a doctor set. Like, you would never have 4 downs with 3 gens left, especially on this map that you would expect people to just run in main and avoid the downs with...
back to back to back to back insane plays. Like, we can't get a break.
He's just playing out of his mind. There's nothing else to say. This guy is just... I don't know, like, I've never seen a Doctor set, especially on this map. Like, I've seen Pedro's teams and Rocket team get a couple of good results, like, get 7 to 8 stages, and I was like, oh my god, it's an incredible result. And right now, this guy's on his way to get, like, a 3 to maybe even 4K.
I feel like the survivors are definitely within bounds to not make it 4K. I feel like this could only potentially probably be a 3K at most, unless they were to make a humongous mistake. We are still talking about Pedro. There could be a lot of mechanical plays that are being done, but we're not seeing... There is a huge gen split, man. There's 2 gens at the top side of the map right now, and he's protecting a hook that is on the bottom. Unfortunately, misses the window. That's going to be the save onto Momo as well. We're going to be moving over to see who that was. It is HC, but the focus is going to be completely on top of Momo, who is zoned away from basically every single necessary resource, and in fact they are going to be dead here at the corner of the map without any support from any of the survivors. He's just going to have to die as close to the wall as possible to waste as much time for the survivor at the top side of the map. Now, if they were cranking that gen this entire time, that could also mean that they are going to be able to get maybe even potentially a 2 out here, maybe not a 3K, but
yeah, but this was only Slasher working then. Never mind, they were probably they were stacking it, and as soon as IP got found, they probably had the Pedro rotate, but still, if you can find, I believe Pedro hasn't been hooked, right? Or has he been hooked? I'm not sure. I know Ipik and Slasher were hooked.
No, HC was not hooked, no. I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. So, if you can find Pedro here, 8 stages are monumental of a result, but we do find Slasher. Ooh, and we do find Pedro as well.
So he's trying to get him out, but unfortunately he's way too far from almost basically every single resource, giving him an incredible amount of distance. He's gonna have to go around and completely block him. Unfortunately, boom! What? Ipik coming out of nowhere from the window like a savior, just taking the hit. It's almost like a magnet at that point, but 3 out right there, an incredible amount of stages, but just enough coordination to get enough points to make this difficult for Team Pedro to come through on a... Jesus, dude, what in the world was that endgame?
Really incredible, not gonna lie. I think this endgame, like, this went from 8 stages to 6, which is... This is a big difference, because, you know, you go from a very good result to a pretty average result, and this performance was definitely not average by Pedro. Like, the mechanics, the way he was, like, adapting the killer to the map, because most people are not used to this elevation differences on main, that is incredible.
It's just underrated to say that the survivors definitely did put up quite the fight, enough to be able to earn such a result like this against Pedro. Pedro doing just the most insane plays ever, and good lord, look what they were able to pull off. Definitely should have probably commented on that a lot more, since the survivors did definitely do their part in making this game very exciting. It's just Pedro almost taking the spotlight almost every single time, considering how we are only technically spectating him. But with that being said, you want to take it?
No, all you, but I think one more thing I would like to say is that the killer is like the main focus, but as you said, the survivors are also to be commented, and I think we need to comment Pedro a bit, because he was always the one that seemed to be going for those supportive plays. Like, he dropped the pallet attack, then he was there to help Slasher out at the end, so it was probably like a bit of good synergy as well going in.
Really, really supportful. But we're going to see very quickly how Pedro's team is going to be able to respond to such a result, as it seems like this is going to be a little bit of a result that they are going to have to work for. I mean, generally, we are talking about top players, so no matter what, there is going to be a bit of competition almost at every single turn. But we'll see exactly how that's going to work out after our intermission and these hopefully short messages.
And welcome back for trial number 2 of set 2 in Dead Dog Saloon with Ipik as the doctor, and last set we had Pedro, who is now the survivor. I think Zafis is not paying attention, so we're gonna be getting a blast on him. And Pedro got 6 stages after a pretty good killer performance. What did you think, Zach?
I honestly thought he played very well against the 4v1 players. The thing about this map is I've noticed is there's really nowhere to hide from the Doctor. You have that static blast that covers a lot of the map, and then he's able to just deny these pallet drops and vaults, showing his extreme strong skills in chase, but ultimately the efficient frequencies. Oh, the head-on actually coming in. Actually, that made me jump. Actually, probably made I picked jump too. But yeah, I honestly think that Pedro deserved more from that performance. Honestly, 6 stages after having such incredible chases. Starting with that, if you agree.
Yeah, it's definitely like it leaves you with a sour taste. This is like you see the killer playing so well, and then he only gets 6 stages. But I think it highlights how you do pay more attention to how the killer is playing, and not so much as how the survivors are playing. And the pressure was just spot on that one. Not gonna lie, so you do get this incredible end game with a lot of teamwork coming in. And another thing we didn't highlight was that everyone was reset, so they got an incredible result. Now we are getting injuries on Ziggy and Zafis, but we still can't find that down. And now we have the infamous sack pallet drop, but if you delay it long enough, the survivors can also drop the pallet. They don't need their teammate to come in, so with that, Ziggy will be making more distance, and now he will opt to loop the pallet in front of main. It's a classic, so I think Zafis will just Pedro will just drop this one for Ziggy. After that, we're going to be switching on to Devour, who's opting to go behind houses to kind of extend chase a bit, as I think we saw Zafs on top of main building as well, so now we know where everyone is. And a bit of a slower game compared to the previous one. We don't get as many downs, but we do have enough pressure going around. We do have 3 injuries now. Going back into main Zen pops. Sorry, there was the generator on 1 popping. And I don't know, I think whilst this is different, it's also looking kind of rough for Ipic here as another Zen goes and there is a survivor close to take a hit. Devour opting to instead go into the area behind Gallows. Ooh, nice little fake. We'll be taking the 4th tag, so now everyone is injured, but can we see some resets coming in? What are the survivors going to play for here?
I'm sure, but I honestly like how they're playing together. I don't have too much sight of Doctor sets, at least from a casting point of view, but seeing them drop pallets for each other is actually such a smart play, honestly. Denying the Doctor's ability to stop you from doing all these things, and he was not in that pallet, Pedro, but points for trying, I suppose. This is going to be a basement hook, a very, very dangerous place. It's a killer like Doctor, but a very central part of the map. Now, we were talking a little bit earlier about, I think before the session started, is that this map is such a highly scrimmed map. All of these players have so much experience on this particular like realm itself. So we're seeing like a lot of confidence coming out from like the way these guys are playing. So it's really nice to see. First are coming through, only 2 gens completed. I think the progress was slowed down a little bit by the fact that we had a few shadows in chase, and also the resets coming through to sort of circumvent that early pressure that Ipic had. And he has a bit of a hold on this corner of the map here with the basement hook, so could actually lead to some scary pressure, to be honest, if the survivors aren't able to make it into basement here, because he can and may deny that unhook if the survivors don't play it right.
Yeah, and this region is quite tight. I think they are working at the wrong gen. I think you should go at the generator on Gallows, because he can't really sock you away from that one. Right now he's doing what every Doctor dreams of, just camp your hook and at the same time push survivors away from gens, especially on an M1 killer that doesn't have a lot of mobility. Ziggy is opting to just run away. We see a gen pop in the distance, probably from Pedro, who is injured, and I would expect Zafis to be close by for the poo. He isn't, though. There's someone working at the water tower gen, yeah, as it pops right now, so I think we were going to see survivors try to play for a more end-game oriented strategy. They're going to reset Pedro right now. Zafis isn't tier 3, so he can reset. And after that, they'll be trying to tackle this region as a 3v1, which is... I don't know. Doctor isn't strong at getting these downs, but if you're on a 3v1, I don't think you can afford to play as they played earlier with tanks coming in and head-ons, because you have less people working on Zens, ergo less pressure.
Yeah, this is a bit of a nightmare scenario for survivors because you have these gens in such close proximity with one static blast. Oh, it looks like they actually do want to save Devour here, but do they have enough time if this shot comes through? Yeah, he dies. So they're not rewarded for that, for committing to that. And unfortunately, they're going to be giving up so much pressure because of that. You got to help to Zafis, and Pedro is still healthy, but there's no pallet here to keep him safe. Does have the sloppy butcher. I want to point out is going to be really effective for holding this tight area because it's such slow resets. So the fighters are going to be spending about 5 million years trying to heal themselves. And if they have tier 3 on top of that, it's going to make it even more harder. So I feel like we've got a very slow game on our hands, at least approaching. Nice little dodge out. Pedro going to be leading him as far away as possible. This is going to be about dying in strategic locations. So that is another thing that we see quite commonly on the Dog Saloon sets is if you are not safe, die as far away from the killer as possible. And this corner here is typically where you do see that happening. Pedro playing that pallet, but as it is a doctor, not going to be able to drop it. But just wasting as much time as possible is going to be their goal, and taking him away from that area is we're gonna be seeing a bit of a routine here, I think, for the next few minutes.
Another little detail that I didn't catch earlier is that his ruin it was also inside Sack. So he was protecting a hook, a 3gen, and ruins. It was like beyond ideal. He will be giving the unhook, but Pedro is injured and on tier 3, so he's not as threatened by him. He will instead opt to commit to Zafis. Meanwhile, the gen that had the most progress was about 70%. So if this chase is less than 20 seconds, we're in a good spot to get the hook on Zafis and then go and pressure the survivors away from the hook. But if Zafis does a good job delaying the down here, this could be problematic. Ooh, nice little fake here. We need to win another one. He doesn't manage to, and I believe that the last gen will pop, but if he gets Zafis here, he has more than enough stages to give him the win. He needs to guarantee that Zafis goes into second stage, and it's a victory, I believe. Ooh, he even reads the head on.
Big brain. Yeah, sorry for interrupting. Yeah, he smelt that head on from a mile away, because Zafis is faking that pallet vault there. I mean, I feel like if you vault that pallet, maybe you actually do make it to the head on, but I don't know, maybe the com came in for a bit too late. There's going to be 2 hook stages traded for the last gen, and yeah, if I'm not right, I honestly I forget sometimes to count stages, but this is either tie or already won. I'm not too sure.
I think it's already won because he got all the fresh states, and he does get another hook here, so it won't even matter.
This is definitely, yeah. If it wasn't already, this is definitely one now. Gonna be putting Zafis into the basement, and yeah, we went from like a relatively slow early game to this really risky situation where you have all the resources on the map gone, and yeah, Pedro trying to get at his face a little bit, and farming saved the best for last stacks. And yeah, this is a bit of a situation we've got, but yeah, that's gonna be 4K at 0 gens remaining.
Trying to mess up the stat team.
They just
don't want Ipic's score to look good. They're like, nah, he got a 4K 0, but we gave it to him.
Yeah, it's a little bit petty play, but it's funny.
If you asked me before this game, like, we go into this trial, what team do you expect to win? I would have always given it to Team Pedro, because I remember their games in semifinals. They were so coordinated, and Pedro is such a good doctor as well, that I was so confident going into this that, yep, Team Pedro is going to take this set, and I would also say probably the tiebreaker if it goes to that, but I am kind of shocked to see Team Momo win this one, and I would have to say the survivor performance, like, whilst it went a bit under the radar, the pressure was still there. That actually leads to this victory.
Yeah, we had 2 or 3 like really crucial chases in that game. that brought the game back a little bit. But honestly, it's just I Doctor sets are so unpredictable for me. I'm not really sure how they're gonna go. But on a map that's so highly practiced, I don't know if Doctor's scrimmed very often on this map, but it is pretty chaotic. We just saw chase after chase after chase, didn't we? And a lot of screaming, a lot of smacks. I don't know, but I think both sides played really well. But unfortunately, the Team Project survivors weren't able to bring it home in the end. But we're going to throw to a quick intermission whilst we get the next set up, which I believe is going to be Spirit on Cold Tower 1. So stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We are on Cold Tower. We have Momo, captain for Team Momo, on the Spirit, and we are walking over here to this main building with the opportunity to break this breakable wall, trying to find a survivor. Very, very common and consistent spawns, so it's going to have a vague idea of where the survivors are. Already see some scratch marks on that hill.
Ooh, but we find the survivor even closer.
Yeah, and getting a pallet to the face. We're going to eat that. Very delicious for lunch.
Almost hurt though. Oh, and it seems like that was going to be a bit of a fastball. He does end up hearing the location of it. Very quick tag and be coming through onto MX, and it seems like we're actually going to be using, I know it's completely unrelated, but the, I don't even know what it's called. All I remember is that I used to watch it on the show called The Macabre Tales. MX trying to seemingly fake him out there to see if he can greet for the stun, but it seems like he's going to be falling completely out of range. And MX is going to be completely outside of the pallet, meaning that this is going to be the first end of the game very, very early on. Now, we are talking about a Spirit, and especially on a map like Cold Tower, which Cold Tower does have some very strong loops, but I would say it's not as versatile as something like you would see Spirit normally on, like Wreckers. So a lot of different plays are going to have to come into fact here, especially since the map layout is completely different. Zach, what do you think the average result for a killer like this should be on this map?
Well, Spirit is a relatively strong killer, so even given maybe a map disadvantage, she'd still be able to pull out 8 or 9 stages. It just depends how quick the chases are, and of course, when you have phase power on such a large map like this, you can't really make too much distance, so you want to be seeing a sort of chases not really too far from each other. And actually gets grabbed. Oh, the timing on that. That was, I think, last pixel of that grab, actually.
Yeah, no, he even pulled him from under the window. If you saw how the animation looked on our side, Jesus.
He was already standing on the other side. He's like, oh, okay. I guess I'm not following this.
Get your ass over here.
Yoink, he says at the window. But yeah, actually, a really strong early game, to be honest. 5 gens and already 2 stages. This is going to be dream start for Momo.
Yeah, and 2 freshes on top of that. Right now, finding MX or maybe even another fresh look survivor is definitely within bounds, as we're actually going to be seeing the loss of Undying here. He does have, good lord, and Thrill of the Hunt just completely gone, leaving Devour and, dude, hold on. Zach, I just said a word that I didn't think I would say in a very long time. Devour. There is no way that this perk gets, like, dude, that's insane. There's no way this perk actually ends up getting value. Seems impossible. I mean, it's an extremely powerful perk. I mean, as soon as he hits like 3 tokens, they're probably going to realize it. Or if not even that, they're probably going to find the totem and take it out before then. But Jesus, dude.
I mean, we're definitely not getting value if we're standing here, right?
Yeah,
maybe he wants to secure second.
Though. They need progress. So this is really smart that he's securing this here.
Yeah, especially when he knows he's had a nice early start, so they can't have too much progression at least. I mean, maybe now, but you've had Ruin in play at least for a little bit. And yeah, secures the second stage. He's going to go over to this nice corner of the map, see if he can find someone else.
A little bit of progress. Dude, 4 gen? Yo, what are we looking at, dude? Like, 2 stages, 5 gens, instantly going back over towards the hook. Nobody's going to be pressuring it just yet. He could probably move out of the range here. But, dude, a 4-gen topside right from under the nose, that is going to be Pedro showing up continuously out of nowhere. He's going to be moving on towards the Ilu. Fenana is going to have to keep himself away. That's going to be the first end of the game popping as well, as this could actually be a very early death. Death at 4 gens, potentially 3, as we do see this. He tags him, and he ends up getting the down right before the pallet. If no support comes in from any of these survivors... Wait, what is he doing? He could secure the kill here. Put it down towards a 3v1. There's not any There's not progress anywhere. And it seems like he's probably just going over to quickly secure the kill, as no one's going to be supporting this unless he's going for MX. Dude, I'm so confused. Why isn't he securing the kill, Zach?
I think he wanted to just watch gens, to be honest, but he's found someone. Yeah, it's hard to say. There was a hook relatively close as well. He's got this hook in top mid that he can use. Maybe he wanted to just secure information. That gen that was the highest progress after those other 2 pops now been popped. So 3 gens done, and I don't really see the merit in waiting here. Is he just trying to get info on the other side? I'm as lost as you, honestly.
Oh, he was keeping his eyes on Pedro. He was very scared. Pedro having this intense amount of pressure, dude, is unreal.
Ooh, that was close. That was close.
Sure, he had background player. I think that's what he was watching out for.
Yeah, did he know that though? Did he see that before?
Probably no. Maybe it was also no. I think it was sprint burst because he definitely went out from under the rock, right under his nose, and he was able to get the save without actually taking a tag just yet. So it wasn't a 1-for-1. So he knew with that amount of time, he definitely knew that sprint burst was going to have a huge play here. As it seems like Pedro was just like, dude, you saw how far away that guy was. That guy was looking for the literal last second that he can look for the flashlight blind.
Even with the positioning of that down, though, I don't think he has an angle. At least it looks very difficult to achieve. So,
hey, dude,
yeah,
we're talking about Pedro here. This guy could probably make a miracle work out of anything.
Maybe throw the flashlight at the back of the killer's head. Stun them.
It's the stun. It's not even a blind.
Yeah.
Good lord.
The pallet stun on the drop pallet somehow. But yeah, that's gonna be first death and 2 gens remaining. So they did manage to get a reset in, so there's no injuries left on the board. Zappis is going to be found here, top side of the map.
And if I'm still sure, I'm pretty sure we're still looking at a Devour Hope still being in play. Yep, it is. Devour Hope and Ruin still in play. If we want some crazy miraculous play, I'm hoping that Devour Hope is on Shack. And they haven't touched it. But right now we're looking around for Pedro.
He's too scared of the save, I think, right now. Yeah, dude, rightly so. Pedro's here with sprint burst.
Pedro always trying to go for some crazy ass play, man. I'm telling you. Yo,
CJ?
Oh my god, no way.
Don't let him do it. Oh. No. If we see a CJ in comp, I would go bold, I think.
It's happened before. Oh lord, yo, shave off all that hair, man. Or it's already happened. I'm so sorry.
I'm already on the way. Yeah, but
yeah,
not really losing much by doing it. But that is gonna be Zappis in the basement. Pedro not able to get the save, and they're wasting a lot of time trying to commit for these. But Momo is very smartly reading Pedro here, like trying to look for these saves. So they're losing progress by doing that. But as they say, that obviously they pop a 4th gen. We see a lot of players playing together in this tournament. I think it's really nice to see, like the altruism that we're seeing.
Yeah,
looking for saves and playing together.
I mean, dude, it's just generally the whole point of the Captain's Journey. You're supposed to see teams that you haven't seen before and under different contexts. Because remember, everybody in comp, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, bro. A lot of people would probably assume that some players or some of these types of players that kind of hate each other. That may be the case, but there's a lot of the times where it's also just kind of like regional preferences. A lot of people prefer to play on EU-only teams, NA-only teams. You know, no real variety in regions. So seeing a bunch of different people coming together to, of course, play under kind of like the same, you know, just the same whole stature. Everybody's from separate parts of the world and a whole different, fresh new slate of teams. And, you know, 100% coordination, because Lord knows we probably wouldn't have seen some of these plays even on, maybe even on some of their own teams, but there's a lot of variety here, and it's very fun to see what these types of people come up with. But there is one thing that's very important. Right now, Pedro is in a humongous amount of trouble without even knowing. One tag coming in through here is going to be an instant down, as 3 stacks of Devour Hope have come through. If they lose a mind game here, that is going to be the end of Pedro. Short phasing there, and he runs all the way over towards the opposite loop. Are we going to be seeing a down right here? He's going to be chasing over, completely doubles back. He's going to expect to survive here, but boom! Pedro is going to be going down instantaneously. They're probably going to be looking for those totems almost, but right now the slug play is going to be coming through. All 3 survivors within motion, as Pedro is going to be on the floor. We're going to be seeing Zaff is running over towards the top side of the map, but MX is going to be the focus. He is injured, meaning that he's going to be the easier chase, and it seems like he might even be considered the weak link here, but he's looking for an opportunity to keep going forward. He's actually going to see him on top of the 4-lane once again. again. And as well, he makes it over towards the pallet, swings over, but just short swings. MX gonna be making it over towards the pallet once more. Is he gonna be going for that second play? And he greeds it once more. My God, the amount of risk here. He's getting so much reward on top of this. Oh my God, and he's gonna be getting the down on top of that. Pedro picked up. Good Lord, MX. What are you doing to Momo?
I think he's in Momo's head. I'll be honest. After those two fakes, especially on a long loop, the fact that Spirit is 110 there definitely contributed to that. Not able to get enough distance and actually gets 2 rotations out of that 4-lane pallet, which is actually huge, but that is Devour gone.
And it hits the floor.
But you have 2 survivors alive, so I don't honestly think that Momo's going to be too concerned. He managed to get really good value. I mean, he got some value out of it, which...
okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's
We were expecting...
Let's keep it a buck, dude. Devour Hope is the most beneficial thing to got here, because we still do kind of need Ruin. I'm just saying that if it didn't go away, that would have been really fun.
Yeah, Steel Mori. But yeah, with 2 survivors alive, I don't know if getting to 5 stacks is even plausible.
Zaphis doing the strongest mind game ever, just holding the one fucking key, the W.
Holding the W.
Oh, but it seems like right now we are going to be chasing over back towards Zaphis. We're going to be pressuring Pedro as well. Pedro is injured. He has to play a lot more careful than what Zaphis is going to be able to pull off here. And keep in mind, they are both NA, so the ping is going to be slightly better on his end. I would assume so. I don't know exactly how those types of cases work. I do know that there are some different ways to where somehow EU's ping is better to NA East than NA West, even though they're kind of in the same country. I still don't understand that type of deal. But I do know that there is a lot that has to come into it, and there is technically going to be a safer chase here. Generally, it is going to be Zaphis, but it seems like Pedro might be found edge map here, as Momo's going to be trying to find him in a location, and maybe he even found him on top of a rock. No, they are resetting bottom side, and he finds him at 4 with a medkit. So Zaphis is going to be safely pressuring elsewhere right now, and Momo's probably just going to commit to this chase.
Yeah, this is where we see the sort of map size coming into play, because you have a gen that's top mid, main building next to it's the most progressed on the map. So they have the safety of the tiles surrounding it and main building before the Spirit even makes it there. So this is doable. Oh, do we see them actually working Shack as well? Yeah, we see them splitting top mid and Shack. The reset comes through onto Pedro, but he took a tag, and now Zaphis is sat here with balance landing on this hill. Momo, it's gonna be really hard for Momo to catch these guys, because the line of sight between these 2 gens, he's not gonna be able to sneak up on anyone. Very interesting. I think we're gonna see a lot of their experience coming into play here from these players. And he doesn't make that, no. Swings a little bit too early. And he cannot waste time. Because the second that he commits, they're going to call that. And it's essentially going to be a bit of a push and pull situation. So this is actually kind of close.
Catch him off guard. He does, and he ends up getting an incredible amount of distance. That is going to be the tag directly on top of Zaphis. Post Survivor is going to be injured right now with no Sloppy Butcher, keep in mind, which I would feel like is a pretty general perk for Spirit. But opting for the full totem build here, that is actually going to be quite good. Now, there is a little bit too much progress on here to, of course, be comfortable with anything. So he is going to have to completely slug here if he's going to want to grab a 4K1. That also suggests that he's going to have to grab this quick down onto Pedro, which Pedro, 99ing the sprint burst, is going to make himself all the way over towards the 4 lane. Is this going to be enough to completely put this team into shambles, as he's going to be looking for a moment forward? He goes back over towards Zaphis. Oh my God, is Pedro going to be able to pop it? He sees it regressing. He's going to be leaving it, but could he be faking that out completely? Pedro also going to be moving in towards main. Dude, Zach, this is literally a fight for just inches of progress. Okay. Dude, I won't lie to you. Right now, I'm pretty sure we're both at a loss for words at this point, because we're trying to figure out exactly what the plan is. There's not too much to commentate, otherwise we would have to anticipate a bunch of plays here. One of them probably being that he's going to have to commit to someone in some type of way once he sees that enough progress on these gens have been lost. But both survivors are right next to the gen, looking for any moment to completely commit to it. And it seems like right now Zaphis is going to be sown over there, right next to Hill. And Pedro is just casually touching the gen. He could commit to this phase here. It seems like he is going to be going for it. Zaf is going to be going in top of Shaq. He's looking for a moment to get over towards the window. He's going to end up vaulting it unless he completely fakes it. He's trying to waste time. He goes around this, and it seems like this is not going to be the down just yet. He's going to have to fake it. Oh my god! Throwing his weapon through the window. That is going to be the down into Pedro. He could completely safely go over towards Zaphis, but unless Zaphis is going to be able to stealth this out or commit to the gen, he's going to slam him completely through. Oh, good lord. Zach, help me out here, man. Oh, lord. Gone completely. We're now looking for Zaphis on the corner of the map, trying to look for an opportunity to go forward, but I can't seem to find... I think he's on the left side. I think he probably predicted that he would have switched locations, that he would have shown up here, but it seems like it's not going to work out in his favor. And instead now we're still looking for the survivor. He's checking around the middle of the map, maybe trying to hold choke. He knows Pedro's general location, but he also knows that he's going to lose sight of him here soon, so he might just have to go over, cut his losses, and maybe even grab a hook here. I mean, popping 5 gens is already a fairly easy result. It is going to be quite difficult, however, but he's just going to have to keep going forward. And yes, I understand there is going to be a lot of pressure here that is going to be divided on top of one person who will be taking it over on both sides, both here at the casting desk and in game. But as of right now, kind of just need to move forward. I think as of right now, he's just going to have to waste his time. Pedro bleeding out here is going to give a few points towards the survivors, so potentially going to be seeing something here. And there's not much to be shown. Zach, do you have any idea on where Zaphis could be? He is checking around the general area of where I think he could be, but for all we know, this guy could be at the top side of the map right now, and oh my god, and he even finds him right here on top of the hill, and the down is going to be coming straight through, as now the game and the tide is completely changed. It is not about finding Zaphis or whether he's going to get the pickup anymore. It is now completely about finding Pedro on the floor, as he just has under 25% on his bleed out timer. So much pressure going to be showing through here, as he has to find him at this given moment, and he could actually find him instantly, as it seems like he's going to be starting around the bottom side on the right side of the map.
Yeah, that battle of attrition came to an end, and honestly, in the back of my head, I was thinking about Ruin in this situation. Actually buying him so much time and allowing him to actually push for those downs. So I think Momo owing it to the perk choice a little bit, especially for a situation as unique as that, where you have 2 survivors playing both sides. When you have a
My god.
I kind of like spirit disadvantage. What do you actually
Yo.
find Pedro? I'm not sure.
You gotta be fucking with me. Hey, dude, I need you to pay attention to Pedro right now. If I see that guy escapes, I'm gonna go crazy.
Does he crawl for hatch? Does he make it though?
Dude, he let go on hook for some reason. Is he trying to... Oh my god, I know why. He's playing with his mind. This is a mind game right now. Pedro right now, with the threat of bleeding out, could also potentially escape. But it seems like he is going to bleed out before he's able to escape, unless he does it last second just to mess with us. No, but the bleed out is going to come through. That was just something to throw him off guard to completely make it so he's scared of the fact that he's going to be potentially going over towards hatch in order to close it, in order to check if he is nearby, to make him waste time in case he's topside or somewhere else on the map where he doesn't expect to go. That was just an insane mind game, Zach.
I don't know what the plan was, to be honest.
I mean, it was weird, but that could have been the play.
He could have crawled for Tanania to get hatch. I don't know. I didn't see specifically where he went down. I'll be honest with you, because my Discord kind of crashed for a moment.
He was on main and he completely lost sight of him, so he was unable to do that. But with that bleed out coming through, that was technically the 4K, maybe minus an extra stage, but the def does still come through. And that does make the safe assumption that a 4K at 1 gen for Pedro's team is going to be a general win. So we're going to go ahead and see exactly how that functions and how that works out after our intermission and these hopefully short messages. We will see each and every single one of you here in a bit. Bienvenidos, mis amigos y mis amigas. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, as we are here now back at the arcade. I'm your caster, Spectral, joined here by the one and only lovely Ane, casting the beautiful matchup known as Pedro versus Momo. Of course, their teams very powerful, showing an incredible performance. We are going to be seeing a 4K with a bleed out at 1 gen for Spirit on Cold Tower, man. A huge result here on it. Do you think that Pedro's going to be able to beat it? Because we are talking about popping technically 5 gens here. This is a very simple win condition. But with HC taking a fairly early tag, of course, wasting some time here, potentially going to be looking at a 2-tap, there could be a lot of plays that would happen here.
Yeah, I think you've put the temperature exactly where it's at. It is still a win if he manages to get a 4K at 1 gen, so he doesn't really need to overperform and get a 4K too. But still, even a 4K 1 on this map with this setup, as we're following Pedro around in this bad TNL, this parallel wall, is really hard to achieve. And with that hook coming in quickly, I have to say that both killers opting to go for basically totem bits, and both of them having this very nice little hidden weapon in Devour. So many things could go array.
You think they could potentially not expect it? Because remember, we're looking at basically an entire mirror here. The only real difference being, you know, the player, obviously. So we could be seeing a huge thing here. Momo going to be taking an early tag as they do end up pre-dropping a pallet, trying to predict Pedro's play here. But it seems like even the safety ended up being quite unsafe here. Now we're going to be stuck in a 50-50 situation. He's going to be going on forward towards the window, and it seems like he's going to be going for it, but unfortunately he's unable to make it, and he's only going to be looking at it down here. And even on top of that, he's going to be dying on an active gen right now. So going to be looking at potentially another tag on top of the survivor. Ipic going to be caught out completely off guard, but he is going to be making it over with the very safe balanced landing, and it seems like now another 50-50 is going to be presented to us. He completely stays there. Ipic going to be taking a tag, just an insane amount of pressure here as Pedro is going to be looking at just a wonderful start. Almost, or dude, honestly, I'd say better than Momo's, but very, very similar and almost kind of equal. Just a lot of pressure on the gens while also having the exact same result in stages.
Yeah, and the main difference I'd say is that Pedro still has a very solid options for 3 gens. He has one on the left here with mid 5 and 1, and I would also say he has the typical 3 gen that spawns around main. He has this one on 8 as well that could easily be connected with 11 and main or the mid-map gen. So he has a lot of potential still, and Spirit, yes, while it is 110, he's still a very mobile killer and a very lethal one. We do find Ipic. Ooh, nice little double vault here. He runs out of power, 110 on this little, but I think it's still a down. Nice little fake by Ipic that extends, that says enough to give Momo a reset, and ooh, the pallet drops here. This Husk should block the pallet, so Ipic can't really vault that again, so he will opt to die in the corner, and I think that's enough time for the main gen to pop if Momo and whoever saved him doubled it. Pretty solid start for Pedro, but survivors are not falling short here of what's required of them, and I'd say a 4K1 is not that far from grasp.
I mean, right now we're kind of considering the fact that simply he's just kind of looking for every single fresh survivor here, getting continuous pressure. He has 3 stages, 3 freshes at just 1 gen pop, 4 gens remaining, and now he's going to be looking for a bit of a fake here, but he's going to be going completely on top. Maybe going to be, oh, did he stealth around him completely? Did he find him off, or did he drop early and he didn't expect it? There's absolutely no idea or sight onto whatever survivor was able to pull that off, and it seems like, unfortunately, that did not work in his favor, and instead, we're just going to be looking at a very, very, very quick leave.
I caught some scratches on the staircase. I think it was Lasser, and I think he also stole Pedro's wallet on the way down. But
Yeah.
Pedro here finds Momo rotating for the pull, so it's not like he, you know, this play kind of throws him off. I think he's still in a very good position, but I think there's a bit of indecisiveness here, whether you play for the unhook. Ooh, finds the other survivor going for it. He needs to delay it enough. That's like a solid 10 seconds you need to body block Lasser. He's doing a very good job at it so far. Nah, he has to concede the unhook. I was gonna say the indecisiveness comes from, I think Pedro is not sure whether he wants to play for his Devour or whether he wants to save that for later. Body blocks Ipic here from this pallet. Ipic will be emoting to crawl under it. And I think Momo is somewhere around to try and get this pallet safe. Pedro doesn't think so. Oh, it's DS!
Diaz coming into play here as he's going to have 5 seconds of distance completely. But remember, this is the Spirit. He's going to be able to cut it down massively. He's going to have to use a lot. And it seems like this even could be a very quick down. But he's able to make it over towards a pallet. And I think on top of that, oh, he's going to have to win a P50-50s here. He could make the window here. He's going to not fake it. He's playing the pallet and staying around there. There's a lot of stuff that can happen here on it. And it seems like his chase is going to end short. He's going to be going over towards the edge of the map just to waste a lot more time for his team.
Yeah, and I think this time is just about enough for 2 Zens to pop, so if the survivors manage to get the Zens on, I think it's the Zen on 4, yeah, popped, there are no 3 Zens left on the map, at least not very tight ones, because I think this one, like this mid 4 and Sak are like the only tight 3 Zens left. And if there are no 3 Zens and you pop all Zens, you instantly win as a survivor team, so that's obviously your win con right now. You just wanna pop all Zens and ideally disassemble any potential 3 Zens to prevent the killer from having a realistic endgame. And I don't know right now, Ibik hasn't had like the longest of chases, but with DS and using balance again and dying in the correct spots, he's always dragging Pedro so far away from these 3 Zens, and even if you die and there are still Zens left, and there is a 3v1 in play, if the survivors have enough pressure on those Zens remaining, you do get your win con, you do get that 4k0 at least, so I'm all for what Ibik's doing. Oh, we do hear him on the Scar pallet.
Oh, and it seems like we are going to be continuing the chase here. It seems like the tunnel is going to have to come in. I'm a little scared of how the team is going to be able to respond to this, because remember, man, I think, when was the last kill? Right now, we just reached the condition. If they pop one more gen, Team Momo is going to be taking a set here versus Pedro, and he's going to have to desperately look for some ground here, definitely. The phase walker is just getting him some distance on top of this. I'm a little nervous. I'm kind of almost at a loss for words. There's a lot of pressure, dude. Team Momo is...
Yeah. There's no 3 Zens left either, so I think Team Momo did great. I think it's the second set we see. This is like I repeat of quote unquote the dog set. Like the chases are not that long, but the survivors are popping the correct Zens, and like they have so much pressure left that yeah, I think you can get this hook on Momo, but it won't matter because Pedro will pop the Zen.
Yeah,
incredible team play,
dude. Generally, I mean, this is kind of just the power of 4v1, the insane amount of pressure that comes into this. Like, even with someone who gets downs as quick as Pedro, just the 4v1 mechanics of this team individually are so strong that he's unable to keep up with it. So much to the point where right now we're looking at 1-2 as this set was just clinched, but the game is not over just yet. We're still looking at Pedro right now, trying to scrounge for as many stages as possible, maybe even try and get a bit of a 2K or even a 3K if he's lucky, but we have no clue on where Slasher went. Slasher completely gone, sneaking under the radar of Pedro. We've lost sight of him completely, only assuming that he's going to be running over towards 5, but it seems like right now 5 is not going to have any progress and is instead going to be pressured by HZ. HZ keeping himself around the area. He does have a double window to work with, and he's just going to be doubling back over towards a completely opposite side. Z-Wall right here, seeing the reminiscence of Spitz, ends up swinging there. Weird looking swing, I'm not going to lie to you, but maybe you're going to have to see some support from these players as it seems like he's going to be dying. Maybe going to be faking it out. Could we potentially be seeing some support coming in from the survivors? He does end up making the vault here. He's going to be going around, breaking right there. No sights onto Slasher whatsoever, as he could be on the gate over towards top side, as we see Momo trying to help out here. He's going to be opting not for that tag, but is instead just going to be going over for the phase walk, and he's keeping himself forward. He's going over, swings up, and ends up catching him completely off guard. HC going to be going down as Momo is going to be running over towards the gate. Pedro's just going to be looking to force him out as Slasher shows himself, but of course, he's doubling back again just to make it out. 2 out against Pedro. Sir Pickle. Still a huge result and a very, very good play, even if unfortunately Pedro was unable to make it. And we get to see the Mori has a small little treat at the end.
Well, 41 to 9 stages. So, I think Team Momo is here to play. You do see quite some interesting plays by Pedro. You do see his mechanic side. But you can't underestimate the team play coming in from Team Momo. So far, that's 2 sets for them, and both of them, I would say, a direct result from their team play and their coordination.
True.
Without any... Yeah, sorry.
I just wanted to say, like, I'm at a loss for words. I looked at the rosters, and one of my primary predictions was that Pedro, although I would say there might be a set loss or two, we could even be seeing that right now as we speak, and just would be happening a lot earlier than we expected. But I did not expect for Team Momo to pull off such plays. I mean, definitely, because I haven't seen some of these players play in a little bit. So definitely super unexpected to see kind of my prediction just going completely sideways, and Team Momo just flipping the odds against, I'm pretty sure everyone's, not everyone's, to be honest. Team Momo does have a lot of players who a lot of people would 100% support. But dude, just these insane plays on it. It is not something you expect.
Definitely, and it is a bit of a. I'd say if you watch the tournament games, you'd say Team Momo has iPick. That iPick has been like kind of solo carrying this team in many of the previous sets, but I would say it's a very vastly different game because you have so much teamwork coming into this behind the scenes, and I'm excited to see the next set. So we'll be going into set 4 in a couple of moments here. We will be seeing Huntress, and just give us a couple seconds to set up the lobbies, and we'll catch you all in 2 minutes. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for set number 4 with Huntress on Ormond State, as Pedro will be keeping up the killer mantle and has quite a bit of unusual set in his hands, because Huntress is more used to smaller mumps to make up for her low mobility, but you shouldn't underestimate her lethality and her territorial prowess. Oh my god, I'm slammering so much. But yeah, I'm joined by Zach here, who... what do you think about this set, Zach? Do you think this is going to be a little set?
I think it's either going to be chaos and we see 4K ridiculous amount of gens left, or we're not going to see many stages at all. As far as I understand, I believe balanced landings banned in the set, just to, like you say, allow the Huntress a bit more leeway on such a big map. But I think it's a lot. Oh my god, getting auto-aimed on that part, actually. Chase coming through onto Pedro. Yeah, I don't really know. I feel like you want to get some good early downs here, because Huntress is very, very good at sort of holding down areas of the map with them too. I mean, as long as you have good aim, right?
That's prerequisite if you want to play.
Yeah, maybe some time on the aim labs before you start playing. So yeah, players don't really have much time to do that. But I want to say, coming into such a weird set, especially when you've just lost on killer as well, I have to wonder about maybe mindset coming into this. But it is Pedro. He's a very, very consistent player. I've never seen him play Huntress, though. I'll be honest. I have never seen him play Huntress. So I have no idea his ability on this killer. But given that hatchet, maybe he's had more practice than I thought.
Yeah, not that bad. And the Anhu coming in on Pedro, I think we were going to see like a quick 3v1 here, because yeah, you did unhook him, but remember he has like this one pallet left, and oh, nice little mind game. I think he was expecting Pedro to try and zone him on that pallet, like break it, because after that he wouldn't reach anything else, especially with the ranged option from Huntress. But he kind of pulled the trigger a bit too early there. He kind of jumped the gun.
Yeah, but a second stage at 4 gens left is pretty crazy. Well, second gen popped, but it's going to be progressing the elimination onto Pedro HZ. And we find a chase onto iPick and main building. Main building is really not like the best place for Pedro to take chases. Although you do have these long sort of like lines of sight. You have the long sort of balcony that the Huntress can shoot down. So it's not the worst. But in terms of where you're going to be looping, you can fall short. But yeah, Pedro's actually taking the vantage point on this balcony to see if he can get some information on where those survivors are working those gens. And of course, he's going to be able to spot any rotation that he so wishes. So I feel like he's going to be trying to make it very, very hard for them to get those saves. And the more that they commit to that, of course, the less they're going to be able to get done whilst that elimination's going through. As long as he can secure, as he's wasting enough time on the survivor side, it's going to really help him when we go into sort of mid to late game.
it's a bit of a resource management game at this point because you have to like invest enough survivors to get the unhook, but at the same time you're trying to unhook against Huntress, and she has the vantage points, she has the choke point, so you're in a very rough spot if you decide to commit to it. The survivors will opt to play the 3v1 and try to loop this main building. Slasher on it. I think, as you correctly said, there is no balance landing, so I'm kind of interested to see why Slasher opts to stay here. I would also rotate to the lower side of the map because there are no 3-gens left here, so your teammates can work on the other side. There are no 3-gens left, period, to be honest. There is like one on the top half and one and two on the bottom, but I don't know, right now it's looking like Pedro is gonna collect his 4 states here, 2 phrases so far. And I would say this is a bit, this is quite what you said earlier, actually. It's not a lot of stages or an insane 4K one. I think it's a good idea to decide to leave the survivor on the hook, let him die, and just play for the pressure across the map. Yeah.
I agree with going for fresh stages because when you're going to be finding it so hard to spread chases, he can hope to try and find someone in the side of the map. Someone has gone for the rescue, but it's really just a guessing game, I guess, for him, because he knows he doesn't. He's a slow killer, right? Huntress is 110. She's very, very slow. And on a map like this, you aren't going to cover too much distance. So praying to find that survivor, who might be doing that last gen, which it looks like he has done. He has found iPick. This is going to be another fresh. I feel like it's going to be battle of fresh. In terms of win condition, you're probably looking at fresh stages. Is your best bet because you know you're not going to have enough time to get that second elimination. But Huntress can, like, there's a lot of advantages with Huntress, like in terms of stopping people from unhooking as well, because you can chain that. I mean, with certain add-ons, you can throw the hatchet, and the recovery time allows you to get the 2-tap. So there's a lot of like situational things that the survivors are probably going to avoid. And I think it's very smart for Pedro to go for these fresh stages and to say, do you know what, I don't care about camping out my 1K, and now all that matters is me getting as many unique survivors hooked as possible. And then from then on, we can see he has a very certain perk to slow down the end of the game to maybe get a few more stages. So I think that Pedro probably has a bit of a plan right now that we're seeing.
Yeah, and it is not just getting the unique survivors to activate your perks, it's also getting the unique survivors to secure the Tycon. So if you can get like all 4 fresh stages and then the results are equal, the guy with the less freshes loses. So it's obviously an extra incentive on top of your build coming into this game. And I have to say, another thing that we kind of often see in these quote-unquote slow killers, territorial killers like Slinger or Huntress that are 110 but very lethal and very good at holding down an area of the map, is the ability to prevent endgame unhooks. So if you get a hook at the end of the game and you hook it next to a gate, it's basically that person is dead. Whereas if you were an M1 killer, or if you were a killer with maybe high mobility, like Blight or Billy and stuff, that you would be more incentivized to try and patrol the gates. These killers are opting more often than not to just camp the hook at the end of the game rather at the start to force the 3v1, because you again don't have that mobility, you don't have that map pressure to get a 4K going. So instead it's better to try and get as many freshes as you can, try and activate as many of the perks you get. That's why we see more unique hook states perks like Pain Res and No Way Out to come and play.
And you could also get good gate RNG on this map. Like, imagine you have the balcony side, 2 gates facing it. Doesn't look like that's the case, but that is another thing that Huntress could maybe do that others killers can't, is snipe gates. And if you have both of them like there with you, that could also add a bit of a spicy element to the game. If you're not letting anyone do gates, might be a very, very slow and painful match to watch. But oh, nice little flick on the mouse there to get iPick, and unhook only just comes through actually, and we still have a last gen to do. This is, could this be a Pain Res stack? I'm not too sure. Oh, it isn't, but I'm not sure if he's already used it on iPick. I didn't see on the first stage. Maybe it was. Still needs to find Momo. It's the last fresh. Reset does come through, and that came through quite quickly. So I thought Pedro's going to have an idea roughly where that is. If he prevents the rotation here and locks them down on this side of the map. I mean, it's very difficult to do, but he could really slow them down here, actually.
Yeah, or I think if you can't prevent the rotation, you probably allow it to happen, but you force Momo to be in chase. That's the ideal scenario for you. So, yeah, whilst Ivy is getting unhooked and these two survivors probably will stack the last 10, you will be getting your last fresh hook and you will be activating all of your Pyrex, getting your weak on, all the things that we discussed earlier. So, not a bad position for Pedro right now. He does get a hatchet on Momo's face. Ooh, nice little attack on the corner there from Momo to dodge the second one. And he has a long wall to work with. The Huntress is 110, so this is quite a rough tile for her to work against. And, ooh, we'll be opting for a reload because we are out of hatchets. And I think that's enough time for Momo to... Oh my god, Momo's adrenaline too. That's a very powerful survivor too. For the...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just messed up my words.
Oh, I was just gonna say, him dodging out so many hatches there is huge. Because it's likely that he gets a payment stack there, probably, stopping that last gen. So the fact that Momo is able to dodge out on those hatchets actually allowed that last gen to be done. So credit to that. And then unfortunately he follows up by running into a wall. So and the poker hit over the pallet. But yeah, so no way out's already over halfway done, but this is crucially his last fresh hook, so ideal scenario to be in. And I think based on what I saw earlier, he does have the add-on that decreases the recovery time between hatchets. So
Yeah,
this is going to make the save really hard if they go for this.
So his two add-ons are hatchet flying speed and recovery between hats.
He has the gates both here, so he can pressure them and the unhook too. So this could be quite rough for the survivors if Pedro plays this right, I think.
I think I pick his death hook, so what you want to do as a survivor here is, if the killer is really good at holding those gates and he has the setup that he has right now. Oh, but while he was climbing the stairs, the survivors got on the gate, so that won't come in play. I do see a little pressure coming on Slasher, but I think I pick... Oh my god!
That was a snipe. Oh, if he gets the 2-tap there, that's crazy.
So a lot of skill coming into play here. Slasher opens the door. I'm not sure why we're rotating backwards here. I can't really see what Pedro is playing for. There is no balance, so there is no reason to be afraid of the main building. Ipic is running out here.
He needs to dodge this. And he doesn't. And Slash is going to be forced out. I mean, it's only one extra stage, but that's... Yeah. I feel like you can't... Like on a killer like Huntress, you are so at risk if you can't get such a good early pressure. So conceding that stage there is gonna be rough. And Momo's here actually. Does he make it?
Yeah, why isn't Momo opening the other gate? I don't know. He does, but
he
still.
makes it out. Okay, I heard an injured knee and I thought he was dangerously close to the gate. But that is 9 stages, right?
I think it's 8. Because Momo was fresh but didn't hit second stage, so it's 2 on Slasher, 2 on Momo because Ipic was death hook. So actually at the end game there, not counting Momo, allowed the survivors to run out with an extra stage. But he did kind of play to get it down on Slasher there, and if he managed to do that, he could probably get even more than that. He could go for the 10-11 stages. But yeah, pretty good game so far, and excited for the second set.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of predicted either 4K or low stages, and we got directly in between. So my prediction absolutely going nowhere. But I'm excited to see what they will do on the return fixture. So don't go anywhere, and we'll quickly set that up and be back in a couple of minutes. Welcome back, everyone, and we have Boofy here on the Huntress for Team Momo against Team Pedro's survivors, and we saw a very impressive 9 stages secured by Pedro's Huntress last game. For this killer, we would expect on such a large map to struggle with a result like that, but it could go either way. I've personally seen very chaotic Huntress sets myself, so who knows, right? But we'll see what's going on. Holding a hatchet at balcony here, trying to get information on survivors. We see some scratch marks over on the top side, leading towards this gen. And can we snipe someone? Are we trying to lock down this?
Towards it, and it seems like it is going to be on top of Pedro. Seeing Boofy on Huntress is honestly a big surprise to me, as I knew Boofy somewhat personally, so seeing them on Huntress is definitely a very new bout. but right now chasing through, we do end up vaulting the window. We're looking for a good sight on top of the survivor, and it seems like we are going to be presented one, but a big stun coming through right now, as it seems like Pedro is going to be lasting in chase quite a bit before taking a hatchet, but Boofy's actually not going to be raising the hatchet just yet. They're looking for an opportunity to go forward. Good dodge by Pedro, as it seems like Boofy's not going to be forced to leave the situation. Way too risky for a first chase, especially on a map and a result that has been given to him. Getting 10 stages isn't necessarily the most difficult thing, but you do have to think about a lot of things here. It's a very open map, and we're talking about Huntress, so technically this could be anyone's game.
Yeah, we'll have to see where the chases are taken. When you have a pallet gym like that with the weird little Z wall, it's very difficult for the Huntress to play unless you're trying to aim for those hatchets over the pallet and window. But these survivors aren't going to concede those. They're so like their movement, and I feel like they're going to make it very, very difficult for Boofy here. Double vault going to come through, and see, he just has these little corners and walls that he can hide around, and none of these hatches seem to be committing. He needs some pressure, otherwise these gens are going to be flying.
I mean, if he doesn't end up getting a tag with this hatchet right here, that he ends up actually, he's going to waste a little bit more time. He's going to have to leave this chase if he doesn't get an immediate tag, and he can completely lose his sight of the survivor. Still hanging around this window. Jesus, Pedro trying to just continuously milk the value out of this one loop individually. He's going to be looking at a tag, continuously looking for a 2-tap. We do have a fully charged hatchet, and he ends up getting it very quickly. He's even looking for another snipe. Is he going to send it? Holding it, and he ends up sheathing it away. He doesn't want to completely shoot everything out of sight here, but dude, insane chase from Pedro. Even if Boofy ended up getting an incredibly fast down, he got a lot of time out of that one soul loop and a lot of progress on top of that. Seems like he's going to be looking for a painters as well, as he does end up getting it. It's going to be hitting this gen right here, unless it was another gen that was even higher progress. But if that was the case, I'm not gonna lie, that's very worrying. Seems like that wasn't, though, as there are no more gens that are going to be popping, and we're going to be chasing Doc instead, who is going to be showing himself. He's going to have a loop here to work with. He's using the angles correctly, as it seems like just the threat of the hatchet alone is going to be enough for the survivors to quickly adapt to their situations, the angles that they can use, and Boofy is going to have to use it correctly. Ends up missing there, shoots it too far right, expecting him to dodge at the complete opposite direction. Another hatchet sent, going to be using only one hatchet left, meaning that he's going to reload and not take any more chances. But good lord, Zach, is this just some incredible chase mechanics from our survivors?
Yeah, there's also one of the things, if you're not getting these hatchets, the game kind of snowballs the more that you don't find those connections. So Unlock already comes through onto Pedro, and yeah, Doc is going to continue to play this tile. You can see the difficulty that Huntress has on these tiles that have so many line of sight breakers. There are a few that are a bit weaker, but these survivors seem to know what they're doing and where to take these chases. So yeah, giving Boofy a very difficult run for his money. And hatchet does come through, and he gets the 2-tap with the pallet drop. As I say, I'm complimenting the chase, and the 2-tap comes through shortly after. A bit of a caster curse. My apologies, Doc, but does spot gen high progresses. So we're practically 2 gens left, and only 1 stage on the board, about to be 2. But I feel like Boofy needs potentially see if he can land some extra pressure, but doesn't manage to do it. No. But this is gonna be 2nd stage, and we're already so far done on these gens.
Well, we are going to end up picking Doc here, and it seems like there is, like you said, a bit of pressure that is going to have to be, I'd say, guided here. We do end up seeing the 3rd gen pop, and we're only 2 stages down, 7 more to go, and more is that going to become difficult as the game goes on. 4 hatches in play, and there's a lot of progress on top of these gens. I don't think, I mean, Boofy's going to have to fight an uphill battle here, which, hilariously enough, there is a survivor that he's going to have to walk through uphill. They are going to be dropping, almost hitting that there. Jiggy is going to end up getting an incredible amount of distance. A 2nd hatchet kind of wasted here, but he does have still 2 to use. Looking for potentially another snipe here. Ends up missing, as Jiggy is going to be hugging the corner instead of looking for another 2 fake. And he ends up going up on the complete opposite side. He's just probably going to launch a hatchet just for fun to see if he can maybe pressure Pedro there, but Pedro's going to be moving out of the way, and they do end up popping the gen directly there in their face. 2 stages remaining. Dude, Jesus, is this just a dominant performance?
Yeah, that's basically all Jed's done, because we saw that one mid-map on the right-hand side, basically pretty close. As far as I remember, Pedro's been found this side of the map is going to take a second stage, but that is not the survivor you want in a situation like this because it already is a stage and that is the last gen that's going to pop. So all they need to do is get 2 survivors out, basically, and then that's GG. A very, very quick game. A bit of a speed run, to be honest.
Yeah. Jeez.
He's going to launch the hatchet, sees the survivors over there, and yeah, if you're Team Pedro here, then you just send it out the gate, right? Don't really see why not. There's no use in risking it. Can take the set. But that actually does push the survivor away. So we'll see. Pickup comes through onto Pedro. And I didn't quite see who was here. We'll see in a second. Oh, I still didn't see. Oh, nice little hatchet land there onto Jiggy. Bit of a snipe. Does have quite good gates, actually, so could make something happen. But yeah, against 4 survivors, it's just going to be really difficult. But nevertheless, we do have to kind of see what transpires. It's going to be Zaphis, so this is 3 stages. You can land it. It's not going to be enough, though. Needs to down 4 survivors in 20 seconds. Not going to work, and especially with the pallet plan. Is that smash it?
Dude, isn't Boofy NA West as well? So, like, that is... No, I don't think so, but, dude, that was a really wonky thing that I feel like under normal circumstances, especially with the players that we were seeing in, you know, earlier plays, that definitely should have been a hit, but a 4-out is an atrocious, like, Jesus, man, that was brutal just to watch. 9,000 points, it doesn't matter, but fuck.
Yeah, I feel like if there's going to be a 2-3 stage Huntress game, it's going to be against these survivors, though, especially on such an open map.
Yeah.
But they took chases and they played it to perfection on these tiles. So a bit of a flawless performance, to be honest. And unfortunately, Boofy wasn't able to connect with those hatchets. But that is the nature of the power. It is aim related, and if the survivors could dodge you out, then you're not going to hit any. So that is one of the things that can happen in these sets. But yeah, that's going to be Team Pedro taking the Huntress set, and that is going to be, I believe, them level now 2 sets each. And I believe we're taking are we taking an intermission, I believe, after this game?
It's best of 7, so I feel like they have to quickly... Someone's going to have to grab 2 sets back-to-back very fast, because if it does end up going 3-3, oh shit, that's going to be a interesting match indeed.
Yeah, if we can get that Blight tiebreaker. I do love Blight, so that would be very nice.
Very exciting to watch. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will see each and every single one of you after our very quick intermission and these hopefully short messages. So we will see each and every single one of you beautiful people in a bit. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here now back in live at the arcade. I'm your caster Spectral, joined here once more by the one and only beautiful Ane. Now, no lies to any of you individuals here. I pick on Deathslinger as a major pick. Finally, a normal map with a normal set, somewhat, as right now we're going to be seeing iPick's performance to kind of set the base for his team on what they are going to be able to pull off in the future. But, Ane, iPick Deathslinger, your thoughts against this type of roster here with Doc, Pedro, Zaphis, and MX on Survivor?
I don't know. The Survivor roster is definitely stacked, but I would say that iPick isn't quite bad as killer, especially on, I would say, more tactical sets, because this is, again, a suffocation pit, slow killer, territorial killer, similar to Huntress, so you have to kind of get it down, lock down the area with your 3-gen, and then move on from that, but these shots are not quite connecting, so the pressure is not mounting up, so you are getting a bit on the back foot here, so I would expect a down to come before crowd is over. It is about 3/4 done right now, so after that we'll have to see how the game evolves after it. But I do have to say that last time I saw this killer, it was on with Pedro on killer. He did lose that one to Team Finesse and Wispy on killer, but this is definitely a close set, and one set that requires a bit of finesse to get the result that you want, to get like something better than a 6 to 7 stage.
Now we're going to be starting the chase off, facing against Pedro. Pedro is going to be looking at a fairly early tag here. Remember, we also do have Cigar within our bounds, so quickly taking all of the chase aspects and kind of focusing on that is going to be very important. As Warren's Keys is also going to help him out here. You know, the basic 2-4, as we are now probably going to be looking at it. Somewhat a quick down, but he's looking for an opportunity for it. Takes a shot, and he's going to find it on top of Pedro. As Pedro hits the floor and is very quickly going to die. There is a... oh, man, there's a little bit of lag, but ooh! Some support coming in here from Doc, as Doc is going to be looking for an opportunity to go forward and help out, but it seems like that is not going to work out for the team, and we are just going to be wasting just a teensy bit more time, just a few seconds to add onto the clock, which could be very huge and beneficial, because remember, there are some times where you do have to commit to a gen, and you would definitely appreciate a lot more distance before the killer actually has a perfect sight of you. We're talking about a complete LOS sign killer right now, and definitely like that one gen right here that we did just pass. A filler pallet is not the type of killer that you would want, or sorry, not the type of loop that you want to see against a killer like this. Now, moving on towards top mid, it seems like we are going to be seeing 2 gens pop very quickly in succession, but no sight onto the rest of the survivors. There could be somebody top side. It seems like there is, and I believe that is going to be, I actually have no clue. We did see Doc around bottom. We do see someone there on top mid. I think that's going to be Zaphis. Zaphis is going to be showing himself as well. 3 people on the map currently top side. 1 top mid, 1 on 3 right behind the logs, and 1 over at 11. Keeping his sight over here, iPick is not going to be aware of the person who is currently behind him, but he is going to keep himself near the area, so he's completely sure that they are not going to take it from under his nose without him knowing at least. Very quick tag there onto Doc, looking for an opportunity to break it. Unfortunately, he's going to be unable to do so, so he's just going to have to completely focus on trying to reload here. He's going to also be looking at a shot on top of Pedro. Pedro is going to be a big focus here. Support's going to have to come in from his team. He's going to completely block him out here. He's trying to look for a moment to go forward, ending up pitching him on a tree. Unfortunately, he's going to have to let go, as completely using this against him is going to be kind of useless, but of course keeping him away from every single resource while also keeping his mending state completely out of effect is going to be within bounds. Is he going to actually be looking for a shot here? Just going to have to zone him away, and he ends up getting the shot on top of Pedro, and a big down coming through. Jesus, just such a small play, and yet now we're going to be looking at kind of... Dude, I mean, there's not even much to say here. He's just keeping him here right on top of the 3-gen. This is huge for iPick.
Yeah, he does have a 4-gen. So you do have 2 tags now. One from the unhook, one from the person trying to assist, and then he got a nice little tag. But the 4-gen does pop, as Daniel was quietly working away at it while the unhook and the subsequent saves was happening. So I'm quite interested to see how the survivors break this 3-gen. This main gen, oh, it's a 5-gen actually. Wow, it wasn't even it was a 5-gen. Volga.
A Volga, dude. Wait, there's no way he got a Volga. Nah. You're screwing with me. You're messing with me. There's no Gen 11, is there? Please tell Ane, please.
It was the gen that popped was on 11, so he has.
Oh my
he
god,
had a 5-gen.
he had a 5-gen. Oh, this guy had a Volga. Yeah. Oh my lord.
His main gen's not very easy to defend though.
Yeah, definitely with, I'd say kind of like the position of it's definitely going to mess with it somewhat, since this could be technically shown every single position possible. We're going to be seeing the tag coming through directly on top of there, onto Zaphis. Now all 3 survivors, or sorry, yeah, all 3 survivors that could potentially save Pedro here are going to be completely injured, meaning that the shot coming through here is going to be devastating, as they're looking for a moment to go forward, but as long as he can commit to the down, he can at least get a bunch of pressure on top of it. MX is going to be hitting the floor, no sights on Doc whatsoever, but Zaphis is going to be playing with him to completely keep him from going down instantly from the bottom side, and he ends up shooting the wrong person. That is going to be our survivor, making it fully away from here, as Pedro is safe from the clutches of iPick for now. But this is also going to present a completely different problem for the survivors here, Ane. Pain Resonance, 2 stacks. That's an entire 50% of a generator just completely blown away by these hooks, which I would feel like is kind of a negative, considering how this could definitely go a bigger way. I feel like a 3v1 would have been a lot better than losing a lot. I mean, dude, 50% of progress on a 4-gen. That is humongous. And they save in his face so he can get another Pain Resonance.
I don't know. I think you can't really afford to go on a 3v1 though with a 4-gen in your face. I think maybe if they pop one of those gens whilst I think it was Pedro that was dying, then maybe you're in an okay spot to kind of... Oh, you have to fast unhook here. There is no other way. You have too many injuries, and you need to get the killer away from this area as quickly as you can. Or at least if Moondox goes down here, he still has 3 stages, so maybe you can reset, maybe you can come back, pressure those unhooks, but these Zens are so tight, and as long as there is one hook inside them, and the killers and all survivors are injured right now, no pressure either. So I don't know. This is very rough. This is very rough to play both as survivor, and I would say pretty easy to play as killer. All you have to do is just make sure they don't unhook for free. And yeah, after that, we are just collecting stages right now. I think at most the survivors will be able to pop one more Zen, maybe. Oh, actually, this one has quite a lot of progress. I think you were right on the money with that call, saying that the two pain reasons are actually more hurtful to them than if they would actually let Pedro die and pop this Zen.
Yeah, I feel like maybe MX taking the down there was definitely a big help, but kind of beyond that, also letting Zaphis get hooked was just kind of really hurtful. Because like remember, we're still looking at a 4-gen. 3v1 would have been a lot more possible, and it would have been more dependent on Pedro just trying to survive rather than just taking a huge, you know, hit to all the progress. But enough of that, because that's already passed, and these survivors are going to have to definitely think about how to move forward with that in mind. Right now, looking at MX slowly running out of time, we're going to be seeing somebody running over towards 10, probably going to be pressuring over there. As long as they go over to check, they could quickly grab the save here, but it seems like iPick, understanding that there's not enough progress on top of those gens to completely worry him, he's actually going to be able to camp this out fully. Dude, this is what I was super scared of, that he's now going to be comfortable enough to completely leave a situation like this, but he's going to have to be also very wary. He's going to see the survivor on the top side. Honestly, at this point, I wouldn't even try to focus on the survivor, and I would just go straight for the gen. Does he going to have enough time to do that? If they are going to pop the gen, they are going to be looking at attack here, but it seems like he's going to be completely ignoring them completely. He's just instead going to be going over towards 10, understanding that he's going to be losing the gen. He doesn't want to lose this one as well, as this is one of the final ones remaining. So kicking it, getting a lot of pressure on top of it is also going to be very necessary. All these other gens are relatively extremely low on progress, so this is going to have to be the only thing that he's going to have to focus on. And let's be honest, if we see Doc there, that is going to be a huge fumble.
Yeah, you
So
have to
probably gonna
reset
be-
Dog or have him on the
Yeah.
other side of the map.
So Zaphis is going to be resetting on top of that, meaning that Pedro's going to be the only survivor there, unless they're completely leaving Doc on the opposite side, so Zaphis can quickly get this. But in the case that Zaphis isn't actually going to be resetting and is instead going to be focusing on top of the gen, which it seems like that is not going to be the case, that means Pedro's going to get away scot-free, and iPick is going to have to try and find the reset location. Oh my god. But Shambles presented to the survivors right now. If Doc goes down, that's going to be another pain res right here, and he is injured on a loop that could very easily be sniped through here. Oh, but he's not going to be hitting that. He ends up dropping the pallet here safely, making the loop a lot better for him, and it seems like they are actually going to be ending up popping the gen. And remember, the painter's hook is still down. Technically, it could be shown, but anything could happen here. He's going to be grabbing that quick shot. This is literally a matter of seconds here. Hook is going to be completely restored. Is he going to be able to make this? If both survivors are going to be doubling on top of the gen, oh god, this is literally left all up to time. They're doubling it, and they do end up popping it right before the painters ends up coming through. A huge bonus for Team Pedro here, as it was just a matter of seconds, really, deciding on whether it was going to be a 4K. An instant save coming through. Survivor over here at the exit gate. Jesus, Ane. That was way too close.
Judging by the unhook speed here, I think Zaphis wasn't on the Zen. I think it was just Pedro working. It was Zaphis trying to stealth around for a flashlight save or a pallet save, even though Deathslinger, so probably no pallet save, just
Dude.
playing for that flashlight save.
They
I
really
think,
left it up to chance.
yeah, I think this was an interesting decision by the survivors to try and play for the coordination and teamwork at the end. But this is a theme that we're seeing throughout this entire finals. The team that tends to play more for this teamwork-oriented plays end up getting better results. So, are they gonna play for an unhook here? I think with agitation, IP can drag him all the way to the middle. He doesn't have any good hooks though. He doesn't have any mid-bot. Ooh, I think they're gonna try it.
We're gonna have to see.
This is Zaphis on main.
Marks all around.
Interesting. I don't think this is that bad of a result. I think 9 stages are okay. I think, yeah, it requires your killer to overperform a bit, because you would probably expect something in the 6 to 8 stages. But even a 2k9 is not that bad. I think this play could easily backfire, end up with like 11 stages, is probably in the realm of impossible. Killer is returning to the hook. We do see Pedro. And Dog has a couple seconds left. We're going to be taking the tag on Pedro. Pedro is not the man we want to see. Oh, Zaphis gets the unhook. We want to get the shot on Zafis right now, and
God.
the
It's
two
bad,
stages
man.
remaining.
Yeah, this is
Ooh.
really, really bad. All the survivors are injured. We're going to be seeing him completely double backing. He unfortunately loses so much distance that right now he's going to have to settle for less, and he ends up missing a crucial shot. No way.
That double back from Zafis was so clean because he is the one that has the two stages. So at any cost, he wants Zafis out, and I think
He
Pedro.
took
I
such
think
a
Ipik
big
was.
risk.
Yeah, I think Ipik was expecting them to die for him, so he blindly followed Doc going towards the gate, and Zafis double back and went to the other gate. And at that moment, like he had lost basically the extra stages he could get, so he was playing for the extra stage remaining on either MX or no, sorry, not MX. Doc and Pedro, but he missed the shot, and the survivors end up getting 8 stages. So pretty good, exceptional endgame even.
Yeah.
With that in mind, we're going to take a couple minutes to set up the next lobby, and we'll be right back to see what Team Momo can do on the killer side. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for Game 5 Set 2, where Pedro will be taking the killer shoes from Ipik, who managed to get 8 stages on Slinger. Not a bad result, but considering the position he was in, it could have been better. But right now we'll have to see if Team Momo can get less stages on Survivor. And we start off by seeing Pedro 8Z around main building. We're going to opt to go away from that and try to find someone stealthing towards the edges of the map, either 3 or potentially 9 to cross. We do find Momo here around water tower. No cheeky shots, we're just gonna walk behind him and get the first tag of the map, also drag him a bit further towards the non-corrupt area of the map. Nice little cigar value from that. And Zach, what are your thoughts as we're watching this first stage unfold?
Yep, so very smartly knows the spawns of the survivors, and will he get this hit through the window? It looks like he will, and that's going to be a very fast down, actually. Starting us out, Pedro's going to feel very good about that, especially when he has 9 stages to achieve. Doesn't quite have the same RNG, I guess, as Ipik did last time, but still does have this 3-gen down here that he can hold. Looking in the bottom side has agitation for the speedy hooks, and that is going to be first stack of pain resonance used. And we're going to go up towards 3 side here, just to see if we can spot a rotation. Doesn't look like anyone is there, but Pedro's onto someone. Sees some scratch marks by that gen there, so knows somebody's in this area. And just trying to gather information. Knows that has this little chokehold here. You can see this has got line of sight across the map, and this is basically a Sopho pit. Kind of how it functions. You have a spot where someone has to cross, and if the killer holds that down, they can stop the rotations. They can stop the unhook, especially when he's hooked so deep in the corner. And that is a pain resonance hook. So if you're caught early going for that rotation, and looks like we have 2 survivors here kind of pushing from both ends, and that's going to be Ipik off in the distance running, and I don't think he makes that in time. Pedro is going to be able to cut him off here, so this is at the very least going to be a trade. Is there more than one survivor here? Does not look like it based on what we've seen so far. And yeah, going to go hold him here and try and secure second stage. I think that he does have just enough time, and that is going to be enough time. Momo's going to hit second stage, and that's devastating for the survivors now, because that is a potentially really early tunnel out, which is going to help him snowball this game. 2 gens do pop, so he knows where the rest of the team are. Is going to see if there's someone trying to rotate on the left side here. So Pedro has complete control of the game right now.
Yeah, quick shift here in powers if you manage to prevent Ipik from getting the unhook, because I think it was Lasser that was on the right side of the map that could have rotated upwards with Ipik, opted to just stay and pop the Zen. I think if Ipik doesn't instantly commit to force Pedro to shoot him, it is very problematic, because then you have Momo here on second stage, bound to be probably eliminated. Ooh, nice little sneak behind the lines though, so we will be getting an unhook. Now we have to escort Momo to the bot side of the map. We're opting not to do that, we're going to instead go... We're dropping the pallet, Pedro is vaulting behind with light and blocking the killer shot, so now Momo will be safe enough to reach the bot side of the map, and with that I think the game slips a little out of Pedro's hand.
Yeah, that body block was huge, especially when he wasn't able to get it to begin with. The fact that the pallet was dropped and he was able to use it was pretty clutch. It's going to drop Shack pallet. Still has to reload. Has those keys to speed that up. But essentially, any time Momo can waste it is going to be really huge for his Survivor team.
Yeah, because there's no 3s in here either, so... Yep, as soon as you hear this thing, there are no 3s left on the map, because I'm going to assume this was a topside Zen, so you have a 2-2 split. Momo is just winning this 50s. Yeah, it goes to the long side now, but Pedro will just break this now. Momo is zoned, so he will go down eventually. Yeah, but it was a very nice flick as well, but a bit unnecessary. He was down there in less than 5 seconds, so... With that, if we see a reset coming in from Pedro and iPick, and we just see another Zen pop because Momo is on the pain res, the survivors are in a really good position to have a team Momo lead the score and be in match point.
Yeah, that's 3 stages, 2 gens remaining, and there's no 3 gen to be found. So if you're Pedro right now, you're hoping for a miracle, really, because there's not really much the survivors can do to mess up. If they just split the map, they should be fine. And to see some scratch marks, and it is just about gathering information now to see if he can find a path to get these stages. We are running water tower here. It's hard to really pinpoint shots on this because of the nature of the tile. Just have the 4 lane, but iPick is zoned away over here around this rocket. Is probably going to take a tag, but with any tag, you just run both sides. Your survivors work top sides, and it is a bit of a sort of rinse and repeat scenario. And how long Pedro decides to commit to this chase is going to determine how much pressure he can really put on survivors. It does have chem trap actually on that pallet, so he's not going to be able to break it. And Sling, I believe, is a 110 killer, right? So with that chem trap, it's going to be super slow, and iPick's making this very, very hard for him. Actually holds W up to the
very nice
to the bot side. Down to the bot side. I said up to the bot side, though. That makes really too much sense. But Gen's going to pop, and no more stages in sight. This is really, really snowballing for the survivors.
Yeah, now you have an ideal scenario where the injured survivors on the quote-unquote good side of the map, there are 2 Zens, there's 1 next to Sack, so you could really go to the edge, and at the same time you have 2 health survivors on the top, so you can't really abandon them to just go chase IP, because they will pop the last generator and probably get 1 or 2 men out. And all of the survivors are fresh, because there are only 3 stages and 1 kill. And as such, I think Pedro doesn't have the hook stages required to kind of get it down and then leave, go to the other side and commit someone to death and achieve his win gun, because if he gets 8 stages, remember, Ipic got all freshes, so he's in a bit of a pickle.
Yeah, especially when these hits aren't connecting. Pedro needs another down. He has Agi, so he can make those hooks faster. So time-wise, he needs this hook fast. Because every second that he is in chase, he knows full well that they are working gens. And he's going to have that internal clock running, and that last gen pops as the pain res is... I mean, I don't know if that was a score chuck or not, but they popped the last gen, so... Pretty smooth sailing for the survivors. This is a bit of a textbook game, but as soon as they broke that 3 gen and the tunnel out of Momo was delayed, the game sort of fell into the survivors' hands, and that was really it, to be honest.
Ooh, they were doubling this gen though, so this is quite a lot of info for Pedro here, because you know iPick is on this side of the map. iPick couldn't be top because he was injured, so you know both Slasher and iPick are here. You hear iPick open that door behind Sack, so he will try to drag Slasher as far up the map as he can, and after that he will now reload and try to get a second shot. I think iPick has to rotate. I don't think Slasher can get out easily, so will Pedro drop this and try?
A little bit. Actually, the positioning of the survivors has cost them a little bit. So this is a bit of a mirror. Actually, this is exactly the same tile that that Doc was chased on, I think, at the end of the last game. Yeah. A bit of a mirror matchup, but he actually hits it through the tree. iPick, yeah, the rotation does come through in that gate on the far side. Does he have enough time to make that? What do you do if it's through here? You kind of have to go there, because if you let those stages get out, then it is GG.
I think now you just send Pedro HZ on the door and leave iPick on the left side of the map if you're a survivor to kind of... Are they resetting?
Are they resetting? They might have...
It is sloppy. iPick doesn't have sloppy, so yeah, the 99 could come on iPick and then you reset Pedro, and you can get both the resets in, but this sword is quite crucial, because right now both survivors are stuck on the top side of the map, and iPick is your last threat, so if you can get iPick and confirm him, you're on 8 stays as well, but you have all 4 freshes. So
It was looking so bad for a second, and then all of a sudden it's actually really bad for the survivors. All based on their positioning. So you have to really give it to Pedro's game sense to make full use of this scenario, to be honest. It's really nice to see.
yeah, and that nice little flick at the top of the map was also... Ooh, he's gonna hook iPick next to the door, so the other 2 survivors will opt to escape, and are we shy of a hook? No, we're on 8 stages, so I believe this is a tie, I'm not sure. Wasn't quite following. I think last game was also 8 stages with all freshes, so we are actually going to remain at 2-2 for 8's team. No one's going to match point, so we're going to move on to play all the games, even the tiebreaker. And if no winner is declared by then, we'll have to replay this set. Pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, wow. Pedro pulled that back from the brink. Had 3 stages on the board by the time that the last gem was done. And he pulled it back. So, yeah, I mean, really deserved tie there based on how he played it. So, I guess we'll have to see. We're in for a long match, it seems. But the next set, we will have Mastermind and Cold Tower. So, we will take a couple of minutes to set that up. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I believe this is actually goodbye to Anne as well, because he does have to go. So it's just going to be me and Spectral for the rest of the evening. But Annie, thank you very much. It's actually been a very great pleasure casting with you today. Very nice to meet you. And yeah, any final words before you leave us?
Thank you very much to both Spectral and Zach and the audience, and I'm gonna leave you guys in good hands here. So stay warm, grab a drink, and we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Welcome back, everybody, to the next set. We have Mastermind. Pedro on the Mastermind, a killer he is very, very familiar with on a map that we do typically see for this killer. So I think that this is a bit of a comfort zone for both of these teams. So it's going to be all to play for. We just saw Pedro do an insane tie on the last set. So we are going to be in for a very, very long evening of action. And already found our first chase onto iPick on the corner of the map. Knows his spawns very well. And Firecracker not going to connect. And the M2 just slightly misses. But co-casting me with this game is going to be Spectral. Spectral, how are you? And are you excited for this match?
One, I'm doing pretty well, you know, a little distracted here and there. But of course, we always have to focus up and actually find our time to find some amazing plays like this, like an insane 2-bound on top of iPick performed by Pedro. Wesker, very excited to see such a match, man. Like, I have almost no clue exactly what we do have in store. Because remember, we're talking about Pedro here. We're also talking about iPick, and we're also talking about Pedro, the HZ, Flasher, and Momo. So many, many different plays, many different chases, and I'd say kind of varying skill sets, I would say. But boom, losing a very quick 50-50 there. iPick is going to be hitting the floor on the Godfiller at bot mid, making the first down of the game at 4 gens remaining, which I would believe. How would you compare this in pace to the last game, Zach?
Well, to be honest, I've seen Pedro play Mastermind, and he's very, very consistent with him. I think the pacing is kind of as you expect. I mean, Mastermind's a killer that's been in comp for a long time. It's been in the game for a long time, and it is a killer that these players are extremely used to. So, I think it depends on their positioning and how Pedro kind of fights against that. But opening the Mastermind set when you've just had a really strong performance, you're going to be feeling so confident going into this, especially when it's a comfort pick like Mastermind. I think we're in for a very, I want to say close game, just based on the players that we have in front of us. But who knows?
We have absolutely zero clue exactly what could happen here. We are, however, going to be chasing on top of HC there just for a second. Maybe the... Whoa. I just realized, I was like, wait, why are we switching position? But of course, the eruption timer almost messed up there and didn't apply it on top of that gen, which is very necessary for him to do so. He does end up seeing the survivor running back towards the gen, but he's not going to be worried. Instead, he's just going to be moving over towards the top side of the map, of course, pressuring and more or less focusing on the save for Slasher, as that is a very, very crucial point, especially where it is and where he's trying to go for in the future of the game. Remind me one more time, what was the win condition that we're looking at here?
There is no win condition. This is the first Mastermind game. So
I mean,
this
set-wise. So it's completely
set-wise.
tied up. 3.
So it is tied up, yeah. So
Yeah.
if we continue through, we'll have to replay the slinger set to determine a victor, basically. So these teams are neck and neck right now, pretty much. So it's really up to momentum, I think, for our teams right now.
You know, I remember you mentioning earlier that we had our good friend here, Pedro, just face off against Eternal, meaning that they were going to be very warmed up. So I'm curious to see, will Pedro start to more or less find some fatigue in his gameplay?
Tyra, I'm not sure. I mean, he grinds this game all day long. So I think these are rookie numbers, especially when I think for players like Pedro, he is quite commonly involved in like multiple tournaments at the same time. It's not the first time that this has like happened. He's very used to it. So I don't think that we'll see that fatigue, but I guess it is a consideration, potentially.
Jeez.
Who knows? But I think it's not just him, as a couple of other people too. I'm not too sure. I think the consistency of Pedro is really going to help him. And I say that he misses the dash, but I picked playing very, very well around this almond-esque tile. 2 gens remaining, and this chase is going on a bit longer than maybe Pedro might like. He got an unfortunate throw on Pedro at Shaq, and opted to not commit and chase on the bot side.
Stage.
Yeah, potentially. They just broke that 3 gen as well, so it is going to be pretty difficult to defend at this point. He does have a central hook, though. 2 stacks still on the pain resonance, and he does have his slowdown. Wesker's pretty mobile, so I guess we'll see, but there's a lot of progress on the map, and I think that they've been very efficient in this. Are not coming through onto iPick, and we have 2 full infections, so they just stuck those gens. Didn't opt
they
to.
cannot get found. They have to completely stealth this out, and indeed. And honestly, getting iPick and Slasher, that means that there's going to be another survivor there, because that was like really quick. So Pedro is, or sorry, HZ is definitely probably going to be cured here in a second, unless he's completely found out of position. We do see a bunch of survivors here in this area individually, but right now we're going to be seeing Slasher coming in to try and support Momo, blocking the door completely, sitting down in one spot, but it seems like now the focus is going to be on top of them. Are we going to be seeing the vault? And it seems like that is going to be the case. Still following around though. Oh, but 2 bounds. I just realized he doesn't have a lot of distance here to work with. He's trying to cut over towards the next loop. He ends up dodging the first one. He's looking for that second, but boom, smacked against the rock. That's going to be the down on top of the hill. And unfortunately, unable to outplay Pedro's slight positioning there. That's going to be the death of Slasher, which is very unfortunate. Considering how I feel like Momo would have been somewhat safer in that case, even going down, but maybe they were. Yeah, that was definitely a better play there, because he is going to end up saving him, and he is going to go forward with
Still could do this though. Knows the location of 2 survivors, and that's an injured Momo. He doesn't have enough progress on that gate, so he's going to get this hook and probably hightail it over there to lock in as many stages as he can. The other gate looks like it's on 1 over there in the far corner, so that's a long way for Momo to run. And it does look like he is rotating over there. Potentially. Doesn't see any scratch marks actually. Is he stuck in this corner, I think? Momo might be stuck right now. He's looking around for him. Doesn't see any scratch marks. If this is a stealth, I think he's found Momo, yeah. So he was stuck in this small lane, and that is going to be Momo going down. Can't, to be honest, remember how many stages Momo is on. This might be a fresh. I have no idea.
I
but,
don't believe so.
It is a fresh. Oh, it's the final fresh.
That's why Slasher was definitely trying to keep him alive, and unfortunately, it just didn't work in his favor. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. A game that looked like it could have been probably 6 stages just turned into a complete, like, mess. Pedro completely dominating there at the end, getting an end game clutch performance with a 3K9. Jesus.
Yeah, it's crazy. They had injuries on the board, so they were already at disadvantage when Pedro made it there in time. Even if they popped it in his face, they were so out of position that Pedro was able to capitalize on it because they couldn't make it anywhere. So very well played for Pedro on the Mastermind. I'd say the average for Mastermind is usually like 6 or 7 stages. I mean, there's stage a comp. But to get 9 stages in a situation like that, where actually you're a bit behind to go with, just shows again like how consistent he is. Doesn't matter, he can play from behind. He has the situation handed there, right there, with the positioning of the survivors. And unfortunately, they conceded those extra stages towards the end. But very excited to see what Team Momo can do. I'm expecting it's going to be Momo on the Masterminds, to be honest, based on what I know of the team. But we'll be right back in a couple of minutes with that, just to set it up quickly.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here now back in live at the one and only Arkade. We are here seeing one of the few final bouts with Team Pedro versus Team Momo, potentially, but we are in here for a long one. So do sit back, relax, and of course, don't completely find yourself too out of it just yet. We are still in a game here. And right now we're going to see iPick's response to such a devastating result, having to get, I believe it is, dude, just simply a 4K here, honestly. 10 stages, of course, as minimum, but 4K is definitely a very strong response no matter what. So I feel like aiming for a lot of things here could definitely help out. iPick is a experienced Wesker player. iPick is an experienced killer in general. But keep in mind, we're not facing no team full of kids here. Everyone here is a full-grown adult and very experienced in these types of situations. So definitely going to have to play around. It seems like we're going to be seeing Zaphis coming in. Could have potentially went for that there, but we're not going to be seeing that instead. And probably trying to get even more distance on top of it. Kind of confused as to what he was trying to go for there, but it seems like he's going to be completely leaving the loop as Zaphis is found W keying away, moving all the way over towards the pallet gem. And is now moving on towards the... Dude, Jesus, you're right.
Yeah, I can't do anything really. If they play it right in that corner of the map, it's very, very strong. We have the chase onto iLoop. It's going to drop it. Not really playable for Wesker, so it's going to opt to break it very sensibly. Take a chase over to 9, but iPick does not want to commit. Has another pallet here by main into. I think that's another pallet gym, and has window on that side, but I guess the wall is actually broken, so not too safe. But very good setup for the survivors here in this early game, and iPick really needs early pressure if he wants to get the momentum enough for the stages that he has. And he gets stuck on the main stairs. That's really unfortunate because that would have been a tag if he did not get stuck there. Pedro now taking chase back downstairs. Is going to take a tag. We see 2 survivors in the top mid area. Good information for iPick. Going to continue chase over, but isn't able to get the M2 because of all the foliage in the way. Gonna play some mind games here. And Pedro very smartly holding M2 back down to this 4 lane. And look at this. Yeah, like I said, just they have such good ingredients to cook up a storm right now. And like we said, these are experienced players. So Mastermind, the killer, they're very used to playing against. When you have a setup like this, you just can't. You know, what can you do if you're iPick right now? 2 gens gone, not a single stage on the board. This is looking very, very bad for him, especially missing the M2 and the edge map. He's given him the tile again. This is looking like a rough start.
Yeah. Not even to say, it seems like he's still going to be surviving, dude. He's still keeping himself within here. And right now, with that dodge, again, moving on towards the 4 lane with a pallet and a window to utilize. Dude, this is just not like what are you even supposed to say? He double backed his distance. The jiggy. He's jiggying with Jiggy in game. Like, come on.
Yeah, he really needs this down fast to be able to do anything in this match. You see how he's taking Chase back to that bot side? It looks like he, or the top side is saying. Now he's at Shaq, and he's just in another strong area. He's going to force that pallet drop. Champion of Light going to come through with a blind. Very nice teamwork there from Zaphis, and he is going to... Looks like he is on the trail of Zaphis, actually going to take Chase, but waits for the patient vault into him. Bit of panic there from Zaphis, and looks like he actually might be potentially going down. It does have a Z-wall. And Murray doubles back. Oh, the patience from iPick, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to connect with that second rush. Does have Egg to help him out a little bit, but that is 2 gens remaining now, and we still do not have a hook. And vaults in, but it's going to miss the swing. Should have enough distance now to make that. And he does, rightly so, get the down. And this is going to be a first hook so far into the game. I think that's maybe nearly 3 or 4 minutes that's passed with nothing happening on the killer side.
That was
Stress. This is stressful.
a really long exchange there, no lie.
Yeah.
Well, Zaphis is going to be pulled off the hook relatively quickly, but we're going to be seeing the drop there. Not going to be looking for a vault through the window, but instead just going to be looking for kind of a moment to be running forward. There is a lot of distance here, but he ends up cutting that right there. Not even cutting it close enough. If Jiggy did end up hesitating there even for a second longer, would have been completely devastated, and it resulted in a pretty far tag and maybe even further into the edge map, which would have been, dude, horrendous. But seems like we are going to be looking at a tag here. Not many resources to use, so this could potentially be a 2-tap here soon. He's going to be looking for that. Going to be quickly using his firecracker, trying to gain a little bit more distance and more time to see where we're going to be moving forward. But that rock there, man, completely sent them off.
Feel like nothing's going in iPick's favor right now. It's a bit unlucky. You kind of have to feel for him a little bit. And he's just... These are so close to connecting. It's so unfortunate. Playing the 50 on the little dodge, he runs it wide thinking that Jiggy's going to dodge, but Jiggy being Jiggy on the Jiggy pathing isn't going to take that M2. 1 gen remaining now. And yeah, nice little patience there. Jiggy tries to make the pallet, and it's going to take that. It's going to be second stage on the board for iPick and 1 gen remaining. He's going to need a miracle to pull this back. This is likely a pain risk, but it's not going to matter because there are no gens to regress. Unfortunately, that is going to be all gens done. So really just a simple task of leaving outside the exit gate. There is no real endgame pressure for iPick right here. Unhook going to come through. Doc's been found. Just a matter of housekeeping, and he doesn't even get the injury. If there is a survivor on this gate, which it looks like there is.
Oh my god, but he's going to end up getting in front of him. He's just going to have to push him as far away as possible. Jesus, that would have been extremely possible if he ended up getting it further, but it seems like he got stuck by a very unfortunate spot. And... Yo,
it's like
Zach,
Pedro went to Value Box University.
Man, my heart, man. Jeez.
That was unfortunate, rough game, but congratulations to Team Pedro for such a strong survivor performance. They had the resources available to them, and they just denied iPick everything. So, yeah, Team Pedro are going to take that set, and I believe with the half point, they're in it to win it, basically. So Momo really have to, Team Momo really have to get in gear for the next set because they could be losing it all.
Huh. Well, with that being said, we're gonna have to see exactly how they can come back from that, because I'm not gonna lie, the one thing that does worry me about this situation is all about team morale. So let's go ahead and see how they are going to be able to respond to it in the next set, which, if I believe and am seeing this correctly, we are going to be looking at the Blight, man. Huge matchup, as we are going to be seeing Momo Blight, which I'm very excited to see. We haven't seen it in a little bit, or we might even see someone else, but I would expect Momo. So let's go ahead and get straight to that after our intermission and these hopefully short messages.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the potentially final set of our grand finals. We have Momo, none other than Momo, on his signature Blight. Momo, a world record holder for the win streak on this killer. I believe it's 1,947 wins, which is just unbelievable. So if there's anyone who's used to Blight, I mean, that's definitely credentials. But we have found our first chase. I believe that's onto Zaphis. It's going to be a hit here with a... Not going to be able to make that little filler pallet here. Taking chase onto Shaq. Going to immediately drop it to gain as much distance as possible. And going to be quickly following this filler pallet. And good patience actually from Zaphis not to drop that. It's going to force out the 5th rush. Actually, it's going to buy him a lot of time to potentially make it back over to this side of the map, chasing in that corrupt zone, which is going to buy the team a good amount of time to get pressure on those gens. And to be honest, you know, in terms of Blight chases, this is actually going on for quite some time. And unfortunately, he's going to get caught hiding behind that side of the wall there to try and for a double back. But Momo reads it very nicely. First gen going to pop. A nice early down hit. And Momo's going to make his way over to where he believes the next set of survivors. We hear some progress on main building. He is going to break this breakable wall. And thing about this map is he can catch rotations off by standing in this little area. You see Doc here, and he's not going to be able to collide with that wall, and very smartly not camping that pallet as Momo expects. Doc going to take over there, and may have been enough time for a survivor to rotate, but doesn't believe like he sees anyone. We do have Ruin in play, as you can see on your screen there. And that pallet is going to be dropped. So trying to deny any form of progression on that main gen, trying to slow the game down a little bit. And that is a very fast reset onto Zaphis. Thinking potentially maybe a resurgence play. As we go down to see if we can find the survivor. Ooh, unhooked. I don't believe Zaphis hit second stage. We do see Pedro. And Momo is going to take chase. Shack pallet was used. There is no filler here. So this is likely going to be a hit onto Pedro. Using the gen for cover, but is eventually going to take a hit, but does not want to commit. Is going to go back over to this side of the map. Knows that survivor is trying to work the main building. We do see some scratch marks, so they definitely were. And he's not really able to hit any transition rushes or anything to connect that pressure. So a bit of a slow start, as you would expect from a Blight set. And the survivor's playing it really patiently, making sure they get enough distance from those gens before he makes it over. And someone is in this corner actually working this. And it is going to be Zaphis. So we do find the survivor that's already been hooked. 2 gens now completed. And the patience from Zaphis on these vaults, by the way, is very, very impressive. Forcing locker. Only 1 rush left to be used from Momo. So he's going to have to wait a minute before he's able to rush. That is 3 gens down. And only 1 stage on the board. We have to get to the survivor performance and baits out the dead hard. Very, very nice. And that's going to be a second stage onto Zaphis. He's going to need this tunnel out very, very quickly if he wants any form of momentum going into that late game. But these gens are very close. Didn't quite see. I think that was main gen that was popped. Does have some progress on that deep gen over there. And found the injured Pedro. That is a huge down. That is a huge, huge down. Just find Pedro injured on that gen, running away from the tile. And does he suspect someone's been dodling it? Doesn't get the blinds. And lands it out to Doc. This could be very, very dangerous for the survivors. Pole does come through, so he now has information on absolutely everyone. For the people going to be used, that's going to be Fedinit. Fedinit? I don't know how you say that name, going down. But can you really afford to chase the healthy survivor? Oh, I feel like you want to secure those stages to really keep on top of this pressure, which looks like he is going to be doing. Doesn't see anyone coming around for the pickup. Does have basement here as well. See some scratch marks over to this tile. And that's Fedinit going to be picked up. And Pedro still slugged on the floor. I think he's trying to snowball this, which given how far behind he is, would be a sensible decision. Everyone is up off the ground now. It does have 3 injuries on the board. 2 gens remaining. I would expect the survivors to be resetting right now. And isn't going to make locker, so that's going to be Doc down. Does he opt to take the hook? He does not know. He wants to try and get pressure on these gens, which it looks like they're trying to work, and they do get Shaq done. and gets a hit onto Zaphis. Healthy survivor, though, unfortunately. And I believe Pedro was trying to force locker there, which is a smart thing to do against this killer. And actually swings at the window, and he does get it. Does catch the vault at the corner of his eye, and that's going to be Pedro going down. Does have one rush. Does he have enough distance? No. Unfortunately, not enough really to bump on to make that work. Zaphis going to hold W around the tower. Drops the pallet now. 3 injuries on the board, 1 slug. Still only 2 stages, so looks like Momo really wants to nail home this victory at 1 gen left and try and get anything. And if it is a killer that can do it, it is going to be Blight himself. Nice dead hard from Zaphis. We do see Pedro trying to take a hit, but does manage to land the dead hard, so not needed. And he's losing the momentum he had a little bit earlier. Still has all survivors injured. We have a Z-ball here. Oh, and I believe that was a sprint burst being used, or lithe, I'm not sure. Onto Fednet. Is taking chase. Don't believe we've seen too much progression on the map so far. That is because they've been stuck in the cycle of slugs, and it's taking him really far away actually, which is going to really help if they're getting close to this gen. If you're the survivors right now, what do you do? Do you take time to reset, or do you try and finish that last gen? You see scratch marks over here, rotating for the pickup. Very nicely spotted by Momo. And it's going to be Zaphis. Dead hard already used, so does not have that to use anymore. Where are Doc and Pedro? You have to think that maybe they're on that last gen. He needs this down very fast if he wants any chance of saving the game. And he does get it. Has used all 5 rushes though, so this time is of the essence. This gen is either about to pop or they're playing it safe. There is no heal coming through, so yeah, that's going to be it. That's going to be the last gen done. Very well played by Team Pedro survivors to get 5 gens done against Momo's Blight. Now, will he be able to finish the survivors off? Does get the down onto Pedro. Now, where is Doc? Could still be in this area. We only saw 1 set of scratch marks. Momo is onto it, and he has found Doc. So this looks like it is going to be a 4K at 0 gens remaining. And I'll be honest, considering how difficult the game was going at the start, I think this is a result Momo can be happy about. Very nice swing into Shaq there. That's going to be all 4 survivors slugged on the ground, and they are not going to be making it anywhere. Really impressive. Finding Pedro at the shack there after he hooked Doc in that deep pocket of the map really allowed him to snowball, and they did get the gens done based on the positioning of the chasers and the rushes being used. But yeah, super well played on both sides, to be honest. We do have a certain expectation of Blight sets, to be honest, because this is a killer that's very widely played in comp. But to match this, I honestly feel like it's doable. We are just kind of looking for our slug survivors here. Not really much to say. I'm not really sure what expectations Momo had, but I think considering he got the 4K, he can be happy about it. Just a reminder, as Team Pedro tied up, I believe they are awarded a half point. And so Team Momo needs to win the set. Otherwise, it is lost for them. In the event that Team Momo win the sets, we're going to be going back to the Deathslinger set to play that out to essentially determine a victor. So if Team Pedro can get a 4K with 1 or more gen remaining, that is going to be the victory for them. And they're going to be taking the grand finals. And we are getting pretty close to the bleed. That time is here. Just 30 or 40 seconds left. I'm doing my best to yap for you, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, I do really enjoy watching Blight sets, to be honest. He is my favorite killer to play. And it is always nice seeing him in the hands of such incredible players. And these aren't really easy matches to win when you're looking at these stacked rosters. Not going to go through. Pedro going to be taking a hook and yeah, just finishing up. bleed out coming through onto Fedden it. Interesting, I don't see too many sets on Groaning Storehouse. It's quite a large map. And of course, Blight's a very mobile killer, but interesting to see how he plays it on a map like this. Just going to wait for Zaphis to bleed out, and then that should be Pedro going into second stage very, very fast. Oh, actually has found Vassal on the floor. Thank goodness. And was that Deli actually? Oh, there was Deli onto Pedro. Well, at least it's going to be a quicker end to the game, and we don't have to wait around. Do we see a hatch play? Actually, all gens are done, so wait, does hatch count? It must do, right? But Momo is very knowledgeable of that. That was actually almost a very sneaky play from the survivors, but based on where Zaphis was, I don't think it was going to work. Now trying to find our injured Fengbid. What way he ran? Did he run topside? No idea. Don't see any scratch marks, so he must still be in that area of the map. Is watching both gates. Actually, just have pretty good gates here. I wonder if Pedro can squeeze out and escape. That would be great. Oh, never mind. Come on to say hi. Does he want a 1v1? What's happening? No, he's just going to smack him on the floor. Okay. And the Mori comes through. And that is the set finalized. 4K0 secured. And yeah, I mean, I know that probably took longer than maybe we wanted it to, but it did happen. So yeah, we're going to take a couple of minutes to set up the next lobby. We'll see what Team Pedro can do to answer that.
As well.
Welcome back, everyone. We have Pedro on the Blight. A little bit of an update. We realized that Fedinit was a fresh hook, and so because of the fact that he bled out, the fresh hook point was not awarded. So actually getting a 4K0 ordinarily now is going to be the win condition, as opposed to like say a 4K1. So that is just the rules of the bleed out coming into effect there, which is slightly altered the win condition, which hopefully should make it a bit more of a comfortable thing for Pedro, because essentially less is needed because of that. Let's get the nice early hit onto iPick, and that's going to be a down. Very fast down, 5 gens. We do have a little bit of a different build. There is no Scourge Hook in play. Corrupt Intervention was in play. But first look onto iPick, and we did see Momo actually lurking around, so does have some form of information early into the game. Gonna break that breakable wall and check these gens over near Shack. We don't see any progression on that one, so gonna rush over to this one. And actually, they agreed for it, actually. So that's gonna award him a hit, actually. And he only used like 2 rushes, so he's gonna be able to get this second hit pretty fast, depending on how he plays it. Yeah, gonna hold W. Does he have enough distance to make that? Oh, he forces locker, actually. And that is actually, we had off in the distance the Unuk, first stack of Devour Hope. And Ruin was in play, but unfortunately that just got cleansed. Unfortunate for Pedro. Second hook stage coming in, 4 gens remaining. Has knowledge of 2 survivors on this side of the map. So we are going to be trying to find someone. Hopefully it's going to be iPick. Reset came through pretty quickly, so it's going to help him out a little bit. Going to apply Eruption to that gen, and we do see scratch marks. It's going to be someone here. And is that Momo I see peeking over that little loop? It is. It's going to come through, and actually because he waited there, it's going to force him to the wrong side of the map. Not going to give him main building. And he's forced to play edge map here, actually. So that's Momo going to be going down very, very fast. On it comes through onto Slasher, still injured. Second stack of Devour Hope, and I want to see an interesting choice for a killer like Blight. I don't know why you would choose that. I guess for a bit of a shock factor. Like, who expects Devour Hope on a Blight? Especially when you've got lethal rush hits going through, not M2s. Oh, wow, that's a really nice hit. On it coming through, a bit of speed awarded because of that. And iPick's just going to go down. This is pretty bad for the survivors. This is a second hook stage. And was that Deli used by Momo, actually? I think it was. iPick going to take second stage of the game so early on. Not enough gen pressure at the minute, and does see someone over here. Who is this? This is going to be Pedro HZ. Is going to drop Shack Pallet. 3 rushes used, so not long left for Pedro before he can rush again. See some scratch marks actually over by that rock. So there's going to be 2 survivors in this area. Nice hook hits onto Pedro at the window. Unhook comes through onto Slasher. Is broken, so I believe that's going to be second wind in use. Honestly, I don't know. There's too many broken survivors to tell. It would make sense if this is second wind. Going to drop this filler pallet. You'll play this tile. If it is second wind, you probably want to buy as much time as possible. Would make sense. But Archie, do you have enough distance to make that? I don't think you do. No, that's going to be Slasher going down. Second stage for Slasher. And this is looking very, very bad for Team Momo. So many hook stages already and only 1 gen completed. Considering that 4K0 is the win con, Pedro is looking pretty comfortable right now. We do see someone off in the corner. We knew someone was off in this corner. And pops, and we hear an injured Momo actually. He had to greed that to just get the gen done. This is really, really bad if Momo goes down here. And he looks like he's got nothing to play with. Pedro very successfully zoning him to the side of the map. He does have a Z-wall. We have seen incredible moments at the Z-wall, but this is not one of them as Momo goes down in the corner. And I do believe my co-caster Spectral has returned. Spectral, are you there? Can you offer me some input into this match so far?
I'm not gonna lie, bro. I came into this so late. I don't even know what I could say, but I am gonna say right now, this is already looking horrendously in Pedro's favor right now. I mean, dude, look at this thing. 6 stages, 3 gens remaining. This could be like a 4K at 2. It could even be a 4K3 if he ends up keeping the pressure on right now. And it seems like right now rushing over towards the bottom side of the map, right next to Shack, you're using a bunch of rushes here to, of course, get over, but it seems like his attack rush is going to be within range now. Swings around, ends up finding onto Pedro, but unfortunately Pedro did hug that rock way too tight and a lot earlier than Pedro was probably expecting. So, oh my god, said his name twice like I wasn't almost there. It sounded like I was referring to the same person. But good lord, man.
It is a bit confusing when Pedro's chasing Pedro.
Yeah. You could always say HZ, which is like what I do, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to expect sometimes. We are going to be finding Momo, however, found on top of main. He's going to be running around the longer side. Of course, we are not within 5 rushes yet, so he's going to have plenty of distance and plenty of time to make it over towards a safer loop. But it seems like right now the opportunity is going to be presented. We do see a tree out in the distance. He ends up swinging for it, and unfortunately for Momo, he's unable to predict everything perfectly on top of time. So that is going to be a down, unless a snipe ends up happening, which he does end up trying there, it seems like. But I do believe there was a bit of a pillar in the way for that to be able to even get close to a blind.
Some pretty fireworks for Pedro to celebrate his first kill of the game. And yeah, found Pedro HZ at filler pallet there. Isn't going to connect with the hit, so he will make this filler pallet whilst the charges re-rush. This isn't a safe pallet to play. Really is going to want to break it though, actually. So first death at 3 gens remaining. That is absolutely not what you want, considering what you have to achieve right now.
Seems like right now we're going to be chasing HC back down towards the active-ish gens. There is a bunch of progress on top of these gens as well. But instead, we're going to be resetting our sights onto the Ada, as right now Slasher is going to be running over towards the pallet, but unfortunately he's unable to make it safely. So, of course, he's going to use his distance with his hit to make it over towards not only a more confusing spot, more safer, but he ends up running into the killer instead of trying to react, potentially using the locker there in his favor. Would have definitely wasted a lot more time, but he does end up getting a gen out of it.
He faked out that tile. He bumped to the left side of the wall, so it made Slasher double back, and that was actually an incredible play, to be honest. Just that small little interaction there. So really, really cool from Pedro. And oh my god! Oh, that was clean. Oh, absolute masterclass on the Blight from Pedro.
Yo, you saw that standstill? Yo, that guy was for real clipping it, and iPick shows himself instead of playing off of time, instantly taking an M1 tag. Right now, going to be looking for another opportunity to keep going forward. He's going to be using his rushes, getting a really long rush there. He gets very close. He does have this fillet to work with. But it seems like he's going to be running around the long side, and he predicts him. Oh my god.
Oh, that's crazy, and that's pretty much won it. That's it, I think. 4K1. One absolutely incredible performance from Pedro. Like, from start to finish,
I
He has
wasn't
already
even here
played.
for.
Yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
here for less than half of it, dude. And the guys like already gave me like seemingly the excitement of almost like I'd say 2 games even. Good lord, dude.
Yeah, that's going to be the
Oh, and we
warrior
get
to
the
finish it out.
Oh, he even has a tortilla man mask. Good lord.
That's been pretty popular recently. I've been seeing that a lot, actually. That cosmetic.
As a fan of Slipknot, I can very much so appreciate that. But you know, Zach, since I wasn't here for a good majority of this, and honestly, even seeing that small little bout there, which seemed like such a dominating performance from, you know, Sir Pickle and Pedro himself. But dude, just like I mean, fill us in, summarize this, because good lord, that was such a long battle that just was really exciting to watch. Just an amazing show of skill from Team Momo's Team Momo, just showing an insane amount of 4v1 mechanic on the survivors, and then just Pedro showing just the most exciting and explosive killer gameplay I think I've honestly personally ever seen.
Yeah, I did mention it briefly in the intermission, but this is exactly what you want for a grand finals, right? The absolute peak of the tournament with the 2 strongest teams. To see such close games, it's been a pleasure to cast, especially considering it's my first time casting you guys, first time casting a grand finals and a best of 7, to be honest.
I'm also excited the first time I've casted with you, Zach, as well, since I do know I'll ask you this question more personally later, but big thing knowing that kind of we could have met elsewhere. So
Okay.
maybe excited to see something like that. But good to see you, man.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's definitely been a blast, especially because we've seen such interesting sets. And I think that's what this tournament's been all about. It's been about putting players out of their comfort zone with unconventional maps that you don't really see these killers on, but also the team selection, not allowing any team overlap, which meant that these players, it's essentially a perk, right? By definition, players from different teams coming together to play. So honestly, I think that it's been a really interesting, I guess, concept for me to actually come into. So yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, no problem, man. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Arcade, of course, brought to you here by a lot of people, which I will go ahead and quickly mention and blow through real quick so we can, of course, end the stream and stop wasting everyone's time. But big thank you, of course, to the organizers for hosting such a tournament. Thank you to the players for giving us such an amazing amount of gameplay. Everyone in this entire tournament played very well and had many plays that definitely are worth mentioning and very exciting to watch. Of course, not to self-glaze, but thank you to all the casters as well that have worked here as well. It's very, very exciting to watch such matches, and definitely would be kind of like the face of the excitement behind the league, all up to the players and making sure that everybody gets their moment and everybody gets just an incredibly exciting view, like watching experience. Big thank you to the refs, of course, and the streamers for helping everything actually kind of come to work, because to be honest, without them, we wouldn't really have too much of an actual working streamable tournament, you could say. And huge thank you to you guys, the viewers, for having every single, or sticking with us and making sure that we get all of this. We really wouldn't be doing this without you guys, because if we didn't have anyone to show the tournament to, why would we do this? And obviously all your support is massively appreciated. But this has been Spectral and Zach and the late Ane, which nothing's happened to him. He just had to go. But we'll see you, all of you, in the next one. Peace out.